I call this meeting of Conroe Independent School Board District of Trustees to order. Let the record show that a quorum of members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The time is 6 o'clock. I'd like to turn some time over for our invocation to Trustee Scott Moore, and then right after him, our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Teresa Wagman, Trustee Teresa Wagman.
If you're so inclined, I invite you to stand with me. God of all people in all places at all times, we come before you tonight seeking your will. In these divisive times, we ask that your Spirit help us set aside personal agendas, rumors, and division to seek your truth and unity of purpose for our children. My tradition teaches that we should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. And we pray that that would be the mantra for all of us gathered here tonight, regardless of our beliefs. God, this month we celebrate and we recognize and we honor those who have served our great nation and those who are serving at home and overseas, that we have the ability to live in a democracy where we can come together, where we can have our voices heard, and where elected officials can represent the will of the populace. God, as always, we pray for those who are called to serve our children. We pray that you would help us all to be calm in the midst of anxiety, and as always, that we would put your will ahead of ours and do what is best for the children and the stakeholders of this district. We lift our prayers to you in all the names and by all the ways we know you. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 2, awards and recognition. Very fun time. Item A, special recognition for our National Merit Scholarship semifinalist, Dr. Knoll.
All right, thank you, President Hubert. As our guests of honor here are entering the room, this is something that we look forward to every year. We truly honoring the best of the best. And to explain that a little further is Mr. Greg Colston, our Assistant Superintendent of High Schools.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the Board of Trustees, and Dr. Knoll. Tonight we honor and congratulate a very special group of students. In October of 2020, over 1.5 million juniors in more than 22,000 high schools across the United States took the preliminary SAT National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. Based upon their scores on this test, students are identified and honored through the National Merit Scholarship Competition. Tonight we are recognizing the Conroe ISD seniors who have met the requirements to be named a National Merit semifinalist. National Merit semifinalists are the top 1% of high school seniors in their respective states who took the PSAT as a junior and will have the opportunity to continue in competition for scholarships. Of the approximately 16,000 semifinalists nationally, about 15,000 will be named as National Merit finalists in the spring and be eligible for 8,000 scholarships worth more than $30 million. We are very proud of the students with us tonight for their academic accomplishments. While we are honored to say that we, the teachers and the staff of our district, played an important role in this accomplishment, we would certainly be remiss not to recognize the importance of so many other people who have played equally important parts. First and foremost, the guidance and support that students receive from home is the cornerstone of success on which schools are able to build. The opportunities that you have provided your children over the years are key ingredients to academic success. Parents, thank you for being here tonight to celebrate this very special occasion and accomplishment with us. If you are a parent of a National Merit semifinalist, please stand to be recognized. Students, thank you for the commitment that you have made to learning. The lessons that you have learned that have allowed you to be here tonight will serve you well throughout your life and provide you with the same type of successes you have experienced. It is my pleasure to introduce our Coordinator of Guidance and Counseling, Mrs. Denise Zapola, who will introduce our National Merit semifinalists. Students, please come forward when you are introduced.
Abram Allen. Jay Chakraborty. Michael Frost. Emma Hamilton. Anna Claire Holloman. Leonardo Holloway. Ezra Hugh. Jack Huff. Rajiv Iyer. William Kaiser. Yasmin Khan. Pranavi Madapatla. Carolina Laracia Onofri. Manhi Patel. Arjun Radhakrishna. I'm sorry, that's Arjun Radhakrishnan. Kushal Reddy. Jason Scherer. Elliot Walker. Roger Wazalik.
I will be short in my comments. In Conroe ISD, we want everyone to succeed, and you are definitely at the top of the class. To be 1%, absolutely, that's worth clapping for. We just want you to know how proud we are of you. We will see you again come May and be shaking hands and handing out diplomas, so congratulations to every one of you.
Find a space so that
Find a
you
window,
can see your
kind of
face.
shoulder. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Make sure all the parents get their.
Oh, the other way.
All right, guys, now, Everyone will follow, this is like one line behind you, you're starting. Everybody get in line, you all have to shake your hands. Come on behind them. You're first. You're first. Somebody's behind you. There we go. Thank you. Now this way.
Congratulations. Great job. Congratulations. Congratulations.
And again.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, sir. God bless you. Wonderful job, wonderful job. Wonderful job.
Wonderful. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Great job, fantastic.
Thank you.
Outstanding, sir. God bless you.
Congratulations.
Outstanding.
You did it. Wonderful job. Congratulations.
God bless you, great job, sir.
Congratulations.
Wonderful job.
Congratulations.
Very good, sir. God bless you. Congratulations.
Wonderful
Very good.
job.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Wonderful job. Wonderful
Congratulations.
job, sir. Congratulations. Good job, man. Killing it, buddy. Killing it. God bless you. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Really well.
Parents, you are welcome to stay, but this is a perfect opportunity if you would like to go. It is, congratulations to you all once again.
God bless you.
Well done. Congratulations.
We smarter than that. That's how we got our kids.
Did you notice that we didn't stand when they said parents of the National Honor Society?
I was about to,
Oh,
a little bit far away from that.
do you need that glory?
Never have, never will.
I like the hands on it.
I got one hope. Yeah, I'm figuring out.
We didn't stand.
Can we just stay in this moment?
You gotta take them.
All right.
Good with the bad.
Congratulations to all those fine young men and women. Appreciate their dedication to education, and also for all those teachers and administrators that did so much to help them out and all the stuff they did. I asked my son Kyle if he was going to be here tonight, and he said, "What for?" And that's all I needed to know. Not here. All right. Moving on to item 3, citizen participation. Ms. Godfrey, I know we have some people signed up tonight. So I will read a statement and then we will begin. Please keep in mind that while this meeting is held in a public forum, the purpose of this meeting is for the Board of Trustees to conduct the business of the district. In accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551, the Board Policy BED, if a patron during public comment addresses an issue that is on tonight's posted agenda, the board will defer its discussion of the issue until the item is reached on the agenda, which I know we have some people signed up for that, and we will hold our comments till we get to that agenda item. But you certainly can say what you need to during your time. For any issue that is not on the board's posted agenda, the board cannot and will not deliberate or make a decision related to that issue. Speakers who have signed up to address the board during public comment must make all comments to the Board of Trustees and not to the audience. The board has specific policies under which the board considers complaints. If your purpose is to seek some type of remedy, the board cannot discuss or respond to your concern until you have met the requirements of the appropriate district policy. Accordingly, the board will not hear complaints or derogatory comments about individual students or staff during public comments. Information about how to file a complaint is located on the district's website. The board expects that everyone in attendance will conduct themselves respectfully, regardless of whether they agree or disagree with the speaker's message. Interrupting speakers or this meeting will not be tolerated, and we do a really good job of that, and I appreciate y'all's patience and help in that area. To ensure that the board can efficiently conduct the district's business, each of the speakers who have registered to address the board will be given 2 minutes to present their comments. Each speaker's time will be displayed on the screens around the room. When the countdown timer reaches 0, the next speaker will be called. Ms. Godfrey, will you please call our first person?
Crystal Duval.
Good evening. I want to thank the board for giving us the chance to speak tonight. My name is Crystal Duval, and I have an elementary student here in CISD. I'm a nurse for 25 years, but I'm here tonight as a mother. I submitted my request to speak on the topic of vaccines for children 5 to 11 and my concerns. I also emailed our principal but did not get a response. I did receive a phone call yesterday to allay my fears of vaccine clinics showing up at our schools. I was told that in no way would that happen at our schools. It already is happening, too close for comfort with the Leaf School District asking for Child Life to be present when they bring a clinic to their schools, and Houston ISD currently offering several of their elementary schools this week. A school in Louisiana had a mobile vaccine clinic come to school, and a child was given a COVID shot without his parents' knowledge or consent. The school said because the mother sent him to school that day, it was implied consent that it was okay to give him the shot. The mother is now suing that school. 2 other incidents have happened giving these young children these shots that include giving the wrong dosage to 112 children, and then shots given to the wrong child at an elementary school. At the end of the day, these vaccines are still given under EUA, as none are approved here in the U.S. Pfizer's branded product Comirnaty is what was approved, and it's not available here. So everyone is still receiving EUA vaccines. These vaccine companies are also absolved of any liability should any adverse reaction happen. Children have a minimal risk of dying from COVID. 100 deaths out of 28 million children who died with COVID, not from COVID, and has proven they died with other comorbidities. I do not plan to submit my child to any experiments, and I want to be assured that sending my child to school protects my right as a parent to decide what my child does or doesn't do. We moved back to Texas in 2019 as we lived here before. We knew we would move right back to the area we live so our child would be in Conroe ISD. The school district has been transparent in their communications.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Ginger Russell.
Good evening, School Board. I recently saw a document from TASB, which is an association this school district funds. I'm co-chair of the Education Committee of the Montgomery County Republican Party. Last week, we passed a resolution calling for the defunding of the tax funding and lobbying machines of TASA and TASB. We as taxpayers are funding our own demise, shoveling money to these liberal organizations and others that codify sin and the evilness of homosexuality and transgenderism. God's word is clear in Jeremiah 1:5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. He also states in Genesis, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. This idea that one can create their own truth and gender is a lie from Satan. Colonel Allen West recently wrote, the disciples of the Baal god Moloch are alive and well in America, and sadly are thriving here in Texas. Moloch was the god of child sacrifice. The followers of this demonic god cast children, babies, into burning fire. The modern day followers of Moloch now cast our children into the fire of murdering them in the womb, subjecting them to harmful gender modification surgeries and procedures, and indoctrinating them into leftist ideological principles. In Isaiah 5, it says, woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and shrewd in their own sight. In Matthew, it says, but if any causes one of these little ones to believe in me to stumble, it will be better for him to have a large millstone thrown around his neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea. Dietrich Bonhoeffer stated, silence in the face of evil is evil in itself. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak, not to act is to act. I'm calling on the school board to act in protecting our children from these evil practices. Thank you.
Brandy Christenberry.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the name. What's her name?
My name is
Brandy Christenberry.
Brandy Christenberry. I'm here as a concerned parent. I've heard and seen things going on in the district in the state of Texas, which is quite frankly terrifying. I'm personally of the opinion you probably need to be more worried about the growing sexual pandemic in our children in the schools than the COVID pandemic. Our current public libraries and schools are dotted with books like this one, and its indoctrination has no authority over my child's mind. This stuff is not right, y'all. This stuff isn't a 10-year-old shouldn't be exposed to this. Y'all are sacrificing the many for the few under the false guise of equality and fairness. Why does my 10-year-old need to be educated? My 10-year-old need to be educated on how sexy it could feel to touch another male body, or how in ancient Greece, It was hoped that the Sparta Army male warriors were in the same regiment as their male lovers so they would fight to impress each other, because as the book teaches, they believed love between two men was the highest form of love. My child's being taught that agape love, or God's love, is the highest form of love. This book tells me, and it would tell your 10-year-olds, that being guided by God's love means we're fearful or misinformed. To the other parents in this room, I want to be really angry at all this stuff, but the fact of the matter is we've allowed all this to happen on our watch. I think that it's time for us to stand up, for us to show up, and for us to make sure that our kids aren't being taught what's trendy and what's safe and what's easy and what's most socially acceptable, that they're being taught what we want to teach them. To the school board, directly to you guys, just to be clear, you guys work for me, and my kids are not wards of the state when they walk through the doors of these public structures. It's my job to teach them their values and their morals, but luckily we're all watching and paying attention now. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Guys, I know this sounds chinchy, but we do need to move along, so if you could hold your applaud maybe toward the end, that'd be fine. Because I can't hear the names, we can't hear when people are talking to us, so please.
Ryan Jarko?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Isn't freedom of speech a great thing? My name is Ryan Jarko, and for the past year, I've been running to be your congressman in District 8. And I'm here tonight to speak about CRT and the Marxist propaganda that's overtaking our school system. Both myself and these great American patriots behind me will not allow the next generation of children to be brainwashed by clearly incorrect notions. This dumbing down of American children must end, and we must never let it happen again. And now and forevermore, we must ensure that all of our education systems are focused on giving the next generation the best chances to learn and succeed. No longer can we allow ourselves to be victims of ideologies that should be long since extinct. The bear has been poked, and Americans are waking up everywhere to this clear and present danger. We know that a gun can kill a man, but we are learning that poor education can doom an entire society. We must teach our children about all the amazing endeavors the great people of America have accomplished, help them to understand why capitalism is the fairest and best system, teach them how innovation actually comes about, because I can promise you, those fancy new computers you have would not be here without American innovation. And when people are taught and understand at least the basics of economics, they soon come to understand why America is the best country to ever exist. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We are a free nation of people who should self-determine and not rely on the government to run our lives. Does teaching critical race theory unite our country? I don't think so. It only creates more racial divides. CRT creates racial stereotypes, and we cannot allow our children to be defined and judged by their skin color. Also, gender dysphoria is a real condition that can be treated, and we can save the lives of these wonderful people, but not by telling them to buy into their delusion and pushing them towards a 42% suicide rate, and certainly not by hiding crucial information from parents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Helen Erickson?
Holland what?
Helen Erickson.
Oh, Helen.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak my concern about the CRT. Okay, the critical race theory is never new in human history. It is an instruction book which blends with all the ingredients of Marxism, socialism, communism, fascism, Nazism, and tyranny. I would like to share my testimony against the narrative of systematic racism in America. I fled from China in 1988. I came to America for pursuing the freedom of speech, freedom of carrying gun, bearing arm, the freedom of education, freedom of choosing career, and the freedom of having the numbers of children that I want to. Okay, and and to be a lawful and moral citizen, pay my due, pay my tax, and follow the law. And so I worked hard and I achieved my goals. I make my testimony today that I have not experienced systematic race discrimination in this country at all. So unless CISD school board want to choose to promote Attorney General Garland's son-in-law's book to poison our children in school. Critical race theory teaches hatred and division. Hatred and division are moral issues. Has nothing to do with race, color, skin color, and ethnicity. Different country plays different political cards to achieve its political agendas. Let me do the comparison of China and America. China has been dominated by one race and one political party, Chinese.
Sherry Rushing.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all right. I'll share one. Thank you. There's 5, so yeah, share them. There's just 5.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Oh, it's already going. Okay, President Hubert, board members, and Dr. Knoll, thank you for providing this time for community members to express our concerns to you and our praises. What a wonderful presentation to begin with tonight. I have 2 granddaughters who attend school here in Conroe ISD. I've participated in education for many years since I attained my education degree at Sam Houston in 1979. While my husband and I were raising our 3 sons, I taught in public schools, private schools, and I homeschooled. I can honestly say that every form has its positives and its negatives. While I was born in New York as a child, I attended schools all over the country, including Virginia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Texas. My purpose for being here today is to offer some observations I made in just the 1 day a week our grandchildren spend the night with us every week. Let's see. First, my granddaughter, who attends Peak Junior High, came home with a flyer twice from an organization called Communities in Schools. It sells itself as a stay-in-school program with parentheses, and I think that's for good reasons, because I think it's for more than stay in schools. I'm sure that they do some good services for our children. But as I read the services it offered to provide and the questions it asked parents to give consent to their acquiring, I had some red flags go off. I do not say this lightly, but it practically replaces parents and but uses them and the government and education, medical, and social institution to make its mark on students. Everything is quite general. First, it's a nonprofit organization that states it is housed on school campuses. How many other nonprofits actually?
It goes fast, I know.
It
Thank
does. I
you,
thought
though.
I had 3 minutes.
Lisa Scott.
Hello. I wanted to speak tonight to tell you my story of how I came to be in Texas. My entire family fled the Portland, Oregon area. We all left lucrative careers, our homes, and friends to move here. We moved here for freedom and for the sake of the children. My 3 grandchildren, who now attend school here, have been through so much at the hands of liberal school policies that support fear, masking, and indoctrination of socialist ideas. Maybe you are aware of the exodus that is occurring from the West Coast. There is a reason for this exodus. People are fleeing, and people are voting with their feet. We could have gone anywhere, but we chose Texas because Texas stands for freedom. Texas stands for what is right. Texas is patriotic and proud of it. Texas upholds religious freedom. If the policies of gender fluidity, white privilege, mask and vaccine mandates are so good, why are so many people, like myself, leaving, losing everything to get out? Texans need to take notice and to stand up for freedoms and personal liberties and to not copy the policies of these left-leaning states. I have seen firsthand what these policies have done. I want to encourage the school board to come back to basics. The schools do not own our children. They are not responsible to raise our children or indoctrinate them with the current social trend of ideas. The role of school is to teach basic core subjects. Indoctrination of racist or socialist ideas such as CRT, SEL, gender fluidity, and mask and vaccine mandates have no place in the schools. I say yes to the supremacy of parental authority, yes to the schools sticking to basic curricula, and yes to the sound of freedom emanating from the great state of Texas. Thank you.
Tyra Hodge. Tyra Hodge.
On a lighter note, I would like to do a leadership, invite the students in Conroe ISD to a leadership conference that I'm having in Conroe. I'm also having one in Cleveland as well. My students go to Caney Creek High School and they are student leaders. My name is Dr. Tyra Hodge and I am the founder and president of Parenting Texas. God, I hope I have enough books.
You do.
There we go. And so basically I want to teach them some leadership skills that I've defined or how I define them. And also I have brought on some other people to help teach straight leadership skills. We're not trying to indoctrinate anybody or sneak anything in. But years ago, right out of high school, I went to some leadership training. And yes, in my 20s, I did have a case of the stupids and went off my own way. But the leadership skills that I was taught at Texas Bible Institute at 19 years old, those followed me. And so no matter where I went to work, I was always considered a leader and always considered being pushed towards leadership because of these skills I learned at 19 years old. So I've brought some people together to help me hone those leaderships this will be the first one that we've ever done like this. I've usually just done single parent support groups, parenting classes and stuff in Houston. When I was there, I got married, moved out here. And so now I'm a part of the community and so is my family. And so I am asking to be able to invite, although, you allow me to post my stuff on the website, but I would like to be able to invite counselors to invite leaders, young leaders, and we want to instill some things into them that were instilled in me.
We'll pass it.
We'll pass it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Carolyn Nene.
Carolyn Maney.
Nene.
Maney.
Good evening. My name is Carolyn Nene, and I'm a retired registered nurse with the grandmother of three grandsons who are in the Conroe Independent School District. I am here today to talk about a video that was shown in my grandson's 5th grade classroom on November 4th. It was a commentary from CNN about Pfizer and releasing the COVID injections for the kids ages 5 to 11. I find it interesting this was shown just a few days after the announcement from Pfizer. My grandson indicated the kids were instructed to watch the video and there would be no comments or discussion following it. I failed to see any educational benefit for this and what exactly was the purpose of it. I can only assume it was for indoctrination, propaganda, and brainwashing of our children, kind of like critical race theory. If a child receives a COVID injection, that should be the decision made upon a parent and their physician and not the school system. If Conroe ISD should mandate a child to be vaccinated for COVID to remain in school, you're going to see parents removing their children and homeschooling them. And I may also remind you, your only job here is to educate our children. None of you have medical degrees and should ever make decisions regarding health of children. This is called practicing medicine without a license. So back to the video, I'm asking the board members to follow up with the school to find out the intent of that video, who was responsible for making the decision to show it, where does this fit into the school curriculum, and did the school principal know and agree to it? I will be happy to provide the board members with a copy of the video, the name of the school, and those involved. Thank you so very much.
Misty Odenwiller.
Misty what?
Odenwiller.
My name is Misty Odenwiller. I'm a Christian, a wife, a mother, and a grandmother.
My husband and I live in CISD, as do my 2 grown children. I'm an educator and a business owner. I have taught in public school and private school, where my children attended a private school in Klein ISD and graduated. That brings me to my reason for being here today. My question for you tonight, or questions for you tonight are you aware that the Texas State Board of Education will vote on textbooks for health education, including sex ed for public school students in Texas this week? Have you, in an effort to be fully informed, reviewed and shared your concerns and questions with the board in advance of their vote? As one of the largest, fastest growing school districts in the state, don't you think it would be a good idea to have your voices heard if you have not already shared your opinions and concerns? 2 of the textbooks being considered contain material on controversial LGBT issues and dangerous drug-based sex education. Another book contains material teaching kids about gender identity by teaching indoctrinational thoughts and tactics. The other book contains stories of middle schoolers engaging in sexual activity. These books would teach middle schoolers sexually inappropriate and even pornographic material. There is no need for our school district to align with such content. These topics are not for the schools or the teachers to discuss with children in the classroom. This content should be taught at home and discussed at home. There is a lesser of the evils being considered. The Goodhart Wilcox proposed textbook is not ideal. It is not perfect, but it does not share the same graphic, obscene language as the other books. It is an alternative. I urge you to do your research ASAP if you haven't already, and share it with the State Board of Education members and ask them to vote in favor of the lesser of the evils. You have my contact and information, and I look forward to your addressing this matter.
Diane Daniel.
Yeah.
Diane Daniel.
Ms. Daniels, before you go, how many more people do we have tonight?
We have at least 12 more.
12 more. Okay, no problem. We're going to get to everybody. Ms. Daniels, we know each other, so you know I'm going to let you speak. But before I do, I know it sounds silly. I've already asked you once not to clap. We'll be here all night long. It's not because I don't want you to show your support for whoever, but we have to get through. I'd appreciate if you'd show me the respect that we're giving you guys by listening to you, to please just hold your applause so we can get through this. You don't have to agree. You can leave. That's kind of how I'm getting here is if you don't want to be here and follow what we're trying to do, because this is a meeting. This is our meeting. You're invited to it. We want to hear you, but this is our meeting. This is a public meeting for the school board. You did elect us. I appreciate that, but we have a meeting to attend, and we need decorum in our meeting. I appreciate everybody's clapping. I understand that you want to show your support. I'm not trying to take that from you. I'm asking you to respect us so we can move through the meeting. That's it. I'm not asking you to leave, but if you don't want to go with these rules, I will ask you to leave. Is that fair?
No, sir.
Okay.
Please carry on, sir.
Are we good? Ms. Daniels, you may proceed.
Okay. The teachers at Conroe ISD have done a great job in reading, writing, and arithmetic and history. We all know this. I mean, last week, you had some nice presentations, as well as last month, as well as identifying dyslexia, areas that you need to help educate students. And for that, I'm grateful. But what bothers me is you're getting off the main curriculum of reading, writing, arithmetic, and history. When you start introducing CTR, SEL, and the sex education and LBG ideology and dangerous drug-based sex education, and completely opposite of the TEKS. You're good at what you do. Stick to the basics of reading, writing, history, and arithmetic. You had some wonderful students up here to deserve all the praise for what they did and how they got there, and the teachers who taught them. But when you start intervening in what parental rights are in teaching, in critical race theory, in SEL, and then the sex education part of it with the books that are being approved, is against TEKS. Get out of that business. That's not what you're here for. That's not what parents send their children to school for. You're way out of bounds in entering that. Because then you're going to be identifying things that you have no medical degrees to do. And then you're going to want to hire counsels to handle that. That's the parent's responsibility. Stick to what you were hired to do. Run the education system on the basics. That's what you excel in. Capitalize on that excelling. Please just grow a backbone and stick to what you're good at. Okay? I appreciate your time. God's watching what you're doing. Make the decisions right for what's right for the parents as well as the children, and not for yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony LaBelle. Tony LaBelle.
Hello, my name's Tony LaBelle. I'm a father of 6. 3 have graduated from Conroe High School. 3 are still in the CISD system, and I have a grandchild starting in the CISD system. So I am well established into this. And I am pretty much disgusted with what's going on in the schools. As you just heard from all the people here, how you've been failing. You've been failing by putting all this left-wing garbage CRT in our schools. And I know it's being pressed down from the National School Board, and you're just letting it slide in, which means what I'm doing here is I'm trying to figure out, you guys, I don't know you, you're 7 guys that got elected here, whatever, but I need to figure out, me as a grandparent, and at this point in my life, who am I gonna help clean this system up, and who am I gonna help get out of this system? Because I know there's a gambit all the way from decent people to not decent people sitting here in front of me. I don't know who's who, but I'm gonna find out. And anybody here that wants to help me, I will help them. I'm not that great at doing this, but I'm just pissed off. The last 5-6 years have shown me how screwed up this whole country has gotten. And this is where it starts, right here in my home. I have to start with my family, my neighbors, and this, and work it out. So it's gonna start with, there's 2 sexes, boys and girls. If you think anything other than that, you're screwed up, and you need a psychologist. All right? There's no CRT in this school. Get it out, and I know it's being pushed from the national, push the national back. This is Texas. We were our own country once, we can do it again. All right? No satanic face diapers.
Dr. Knoll, I move that we recess just for about 5-10 minutes, please. All right, thank you for that. We will go ahead and resume. Ms. Godfrey, would you please call our next person?
Kendra Yamaguchi.
Hi, my name's Kendra Yamaguchi, and I've never done this before, so I'm just going to read off what I would have written. I want to talk against CRT. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my grandfather and my story with him. My grandfather, who's at a young man, quit high school, went to serve after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Sorry, I'm nervous. As many did, right? Him and his 4 brothers. He served on the USS Lexington, and he was a gunner that flew in the airplanes. He was shot at one time. What I'm learning about my grandfather and his story during World War II, I didn't find out until just recently from my 92-year-old grandmother. He fought against the Japanese. During the signing of the ending of the war with the Japanese, my grandfather would be in the planes watching the signing that was happening on the USS Missouri between the Japanese and the Americans. Fast forward years later, as I learned more about what my grandfather witnessed during the war, well, I'm going to make this short. Fast forward to 2001, and my grandfather was suffering with leukemia, and I had just married my husband. Little did he know that he would his granddaughter would marry into a Japanese family, the very people that he was fighting against during World War II. My husband, who was fourth generation Japanese American, his uncles and his father's uncles and cousins were part of the 442nd Regiment, as our government was putting Japanese American in camps. I'm here to tell you today that our providence comes from God. I'm here because of my father's legacy. We're here because of the people that served before us. And CRT wants to destroy every bit of that. And I will not teach that to my children. I will not teach that to any child. I pray conviction over your hearts that you do the right thing for our kids in this country. It can start here.
All right, thank you very much.
Martin Edwop.
Thank you very much. My name is Martin Edwop, and some of you have seen me before. I'm running for Congress District 2. And for those who haven't seen me, I'm like most of the people here, I'm here to talk about CRT. Oftentimes, we hear proponents of CRT saying that they're only teaching and reminding us of history of America in relations to African Americans and other minorities. Sounds good. Yes, we need to teach history. But teaching history that propagates hatred and division is not history. It is trying to advocate for anarchy packaged as history. It is okay to teach a child, let's call him James, who is in 2nd grade, that his ancestors suffered slavery. That's okay. But why does James have to be taught that his classmate Mike and Mike's entire race is the problem for everything and anything that has happened and all will ever happen to James? Why should Mike go home feeling like he has always and will always be the problem in James's life? Why can't we allow James and Mike to build a relationship as children without teaching them that they are forever enemies, unless Mike acknowledges that he is the cause or will be the cause of James's problems? We can't be doing that. Oh, and for the rest of James's life, he's going to grow up feeling that he is owed something that by Mike and by society at large. That's what CRT is teaching us. Teaching hate in the name of history, hopelessness and division instead of a hopeful, united America. Let us all say no to CRT. Thank you very much.
Emily Hopple.
Martin.
Thank you very much. Emily Hopple, she, her. This board and our educators are our neighbors, not our enemies. Recognizing all children as valid human beings worthy of respect, love, and belonging, regardless of their orientation, gender, race, or religion, is peace. Teaching the history of this country and this world as it happened is truth. Can it be hard to confront that truth sometimes? Of course. But I trust our district educators to give age-appropriate information and to initiate constructive discourse. I trust and accept that my children are independent human beings who will come to their own conclusions that may sometimes differ from mine. I feel that's our #1 job. Our kids should be able to think for themselves. And we might even change our minds together. Glossing over our history does a disservice to our community and everyone in it. I understand Representative Toth is going to speak tonight, and he knows that CRT is not being taught in K-12 schools. He knows. He knows that decisions regarding the TEKS are made by the very legislature that he is a part of, and the state school board, which the legislature also controls, right? Nonetheless, he continues to spread misleading and divisive language here and online. I don't think this benefits our community, and I hope that the representative takes time to listen to teachers and students in CISD, especially those he disagrees with. Constructive discourse is sorely needed, and terms like war and enemy used in this context are out of line. I'm almost out of time, so I just wanted to say thank you. Also, I'm excited to see all the projects that are currently underway and being completed, including in my area from the 2019 bond, and thank you for that.
Savannah Eldridge. Okay. Rick Sanders. Oh,
Is she
Savannah, are you
She's-
here?
Yes.
Hi. Well, good evening. My name is Savannah Eldridge, and today I'm going to be representing myself. I don't know how I got on the roster, but I'm here, and I really just want to say on the record that I got some information about, this meeting at the school board, and I just want to say that in the context, just as what was said before, like terms such as war and enemy, I mean, those terms alone create division amongst the community. So I just want to say that I'm hoping that people can be peaceful. I'm hoping that people can listen regardless of whether or not we agree. But there are a lot of hate terms being used just now and just today. So I just want to ask that everybody be respectful. And I want to thank the school board for this opportunity, because we need these types of forums to have these open conversations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rick Sanders. Rick Sanders. Psalm Lawrence.
Good evening, board members and CISD community. My name is Psalm Lawrence. I'm 16 years old, and I'm currently a junior enrolled at Oak Ridge High School. I'm standing here today to enlighten the board and the neighbors of this community the concerns I have of the growth of divisiveness in this community. Not only at Oak Ridge, but at many other high schools in the district and in the area. As time progressed, society along with it, this generation of students and young adults are becoming more socially aware, standing against odds, creating history, making strides towards love and equality every day in more ways than one. As a result of these strides, there has been an incredible increase in diversity of all aspects, visionary mindsets, creative, opinionated, and strong independent voices. Students have become speaking out against real-world issues and uniting in our struggles as a result of the climate, the climate at school has become divisive. I'm a woman. In addition to that, a young black woman growing up in the renowned best suburb in the United States as of 2021, with not a whole lot of people who look like me. I'm an AB student, enrolled in college-level courses, and a student that participates in extracurriculars as well. But first, before any of those things, I'm a minority. I'm a learner, and I'm a lover of people and cultures. Over the past few months, the accumulation of the prolonged divide exploded at Oak Ridge in September and is now erupting in the community. As a student in this district, I've been met with colorism, microaggressive words and actions from peers and staff, racial slurs, taunts, and disrespect, all under the roof of where I spend 1/3 of my day every day. A culture of disrespect, intolerance, and stubbornness has been fostered in not only my school, but in this community as well, for the sake of fragility and comfort of others. Despite being chastised and attacked by my peers in this society, I'm fortunate enough to have been raised to love, educate, and uplift despite my experiences. I believe the power of knowledge is the greatest power one could ever have, and is gained through experiences as well as discourse with others and their own experiences. In order to grow in the community and into the young adults, we have to be able to have these conversations about the real world, about other cultures, about history, and about the things and the kinds of people that we face and collectively face and grow from one another.
Thank you.
Good job, young lady.
Christian Adeyemi.
Good evening, board. That was just my daughter who spoke. And so I just want to give a parent perspective as a parent that's been in the ISD for the past 6 years. I have 2 students at Oak Ridge, my junior and my freshman. And just to be clear, the lack of cultural inclusiveness that I've experienced since moving to this district from Chicago has been disheartening, to say the least. However, I know that the schools are just a reflection of the neighborhoods that they serve. Even the principal and leader of Oak Ridge is my neighbor. I've shared the same park bench with his wife. My kids have been on the same slides, and I've chatted with his wife, chatted with with his children as well. But when his comments that regarding the students who participated in Throwback Thursday made national news, many of our neighbors were on social media, on platforms, spreading misinformation, saying that students of color and Black Lives Matter kids were trying to take over Oak Ridge. To date, there's still been no clear denouncement of the behavior of the students who were in opposition to the peaceful protests. There were threats of violence made against those students and their allies, yet the students participated in Throwback Thursday were addressed twice in general announcements. To the children of cultural diverse backgrounds within the school, that shows a cultural tolerance and that it's okay to openly spew hate and threaten others, and there will be no consequences for their actions. So moving forward, I do want to acknowledge that Dr. Levesque apologized for his own actions, but what about the accountability of the other students? There cannot be a culture of hate at Oak Ridge or any CISD school, and student thinks it's okay. I have been working diligently alongside members of the communities and organizations to make sure that the students, our future, know that they have a voice and that we stand in solidarity with them as parents to have a safe space within the walls of schools, no matter what they're being taught at home, that the school is a place for all kids.
Thank you.
Cynthia Sislove.
Good evening. I'm going to have to curtail what I was going to say until I do a little further research, but in light of that, what I do want to say is that I am terribly offended. Skeeter, I don't know if you speak for yourself or for the entire board, but this is not your school board meeting. And if it is your school board meeting, then I am not subject to your regulations because I'm not part of the board. So I'll speak as long as I'd like to speak, if that be the case, correct? So, you work for us. This has been pointed out time and time again. We have terrible, terrible things going on in our school, and we can go all the way up the governmental ladder to the top. What's white is black, what's right is wrong, it needs to stop. We're supposed to be the best community in America to live in, but when are we going to make the changes that we keep coming here month after month after month telling you that we need to make? No more of this CRT, emotional learning, whatever you want to label it. Stay in your lane, like the lady said before, do what you're paid to do or you're volunteering to do, and stay out of the extracurricular education. English, math, these are your purviews, not sexual orientation, anything to do with sex education. You should be fighting tooth and nail to get that out of your schools and out of the community. We do not need to have conversations about what bathrooms our children are going to use. The girls will use the girls and the boys will use the boys, as well as the locker rooms, period. End of discussion. I am putting you all on notice that that is what needs to happen. There's a lot of parents and we have a lot of people backing us up, and there's going to be a problem with your seats and the board if this continues.
Thank you.
And we can clap.
Andrea McWashington. Andrea McWashington. Daryl Jones. Daryl Jones. Rachel Walker.
Good evening. I'm a CISD parent. I'm a Oak Ridge PTO vice president. I'm the engagement specialist for the Woodlands Pride, and my pronouns are she, her. I think we can all agree it's been a hard 2 years for our kids. Any trained child psychologist or counselor will tell you that it is just as important for schools to be looking out for the mental health of their students as it is for them to be making sure we are closing the gaps in their education these last 2 years. Using a student's preferred name and pronouns is not indoctrination. It's suicide prevention. The Trevor Project estimates that at least one LGBTQ youth between ages of 13 and 24 attempts suicide every 45 seconds in the US. That is 2.66 people in the time that I will have been up here. That attempts, not contemplates, attempts. Forbes magazine reports 52% of all transgender and non-binary young people in the US seriously contemplated suicide in 2021. LGBTQ teens and youth have a higher suicide rate than their straight cis peers. Lastly, because we don't have much time, I want you to know that if you are a trans youth or an LGBTQ youth in CISD, there is support out there for you. I know after tonight it probably doesn't seem like it, but there is. You can reach out to the Woodlands Pride. We will get you connected to the correct resources. It gets better. Please stay. You are worth it. And lastly, I would just like to remind the people in this room, or I'll just remind you guys because I'm not to speak to those people, that CRT is a graduate level theory. So unless your fifth grader is getting a doctorate, it is a moot point, and I'm so sorry that you keep getting yelled at about it. It's embarrassing.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's it.
That's our last one. Okay. Very good. Thank you for that. Moving on to item 4 is our consent agenda. Have not heard from anybody to remove anything from the consent agenda.
Move approval of consent agenda as presented.
All right, been a motion and a second. Any discussion? Call the vote. All those in favor, show by the uplifted hand.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise?
Thank you, sir.
All right, very good. Do we have any objections to moving 13A up from where it is to now? No objection. All right. Moving item 13A, which is our naming Director of Information Systems. Turn the time over to Dr. Knoll.
All right, thank you, President Hubert, members of the board. It's always an exciting time as we get an opportunity to name people into new positions in the school district. At the same time, we kind of pause as those that are leaving. And tonight we have an opportunity, I think before we name our incoming Director of Information Systems, to say a big thank you to a young lady that's retiring. And so for those of you that may not know exactly what the job is, it's kind of twofold. There's one, it's the PEAM side, which is a reporting side that sends all of our data to the state of Texas, and then there's a side that does instructional technology. So this is a very big job, and we've been fortunate for years to have Ms. Terry Ross filling that role, and she is going to retire in December. So I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge her tonight, if we could.
Trying to hide over there in the corner so we won't see you over there.
We do.
Good job.
Kind of shows the way she's done the job all the time. She's always just getting it done behind the scenes. It's one of those jobs. And so filling any of these roles is really difficult. And I think for any of us to try to do the jobs that we have, to do them alone would be impossible. But to do them with the support of this board and the support of the entire Conroe ISD family is what helps us to be able to achieve that. So one of the other things I'd just like to celebrate tonight is the fact that this past weekend, you may have seen published in the Houston Chronicle that Conroe ISD was named as one of the top workplaces in the greater Houston area, number 15 actually of all the large corporations in the city of Houston or the Houston area. And we were actually the #1 school district rated on the list in the Houston area. And so it takes a great team. It starts with you all, so thank you for that very much. So now to the moment that we've been waiting for.
Yes.
To fill this role, we were actually able to go back and years ago we had a gentleman that worked within the department directly working with Mrs. Ross and gaining valuable experience. And from there, he went to the campus level and serving as an assistant principal and principal. And now returning back, it is my recommendation that we would name Dr. Jared Lambert to be our new Director of Information Technology. So, Mr. Jared Lambert.
Do we have a motion?
Go ahead, Mr. Sanders.
I move that we approve Dr. Jared Lambert
to the position of Director of Information Systems.
Very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed likewise? Motion carries. Congratulations.
President Hubert, members of the Board of Trustees, and Dr. Null, a wise man gave me a piece of advice about standing up here today. He said, be brief, so I will. I just want to say thank you for your continued trust that you've placed in me to serve the students, employees, and community of Conroe ISD. I'd also like to thank my family for their love and support. They love and support me so much that they're not here tonight because my son made the freshman basketball team and it's his first game, and that's more important.
Congratulations.
You should be there.
Finally, I'd also like to thank Terry Ross. She's defined this role, and she set a very high standard. Thank you, Terry. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. Outstanding, Doctor. Thank you. Congratulations.
President Hubert, I would note that Dr. Lambert is the current principal of Bush Elementary, so as he transitions to this new role, we have named an interim principal there for Bush, Miss Elizabeth Thompson, who is currently an assistant principal on campus. So we're confident that she will continue the great work that Dr. Lambert and all the staff there have done. So.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 5, administration. 5A, receive 2022-2023 school calendar information.
All right, our favorite agenda topic of every year.
One of them.
The general consensus is we want to start school later, get out of school earlier, and have as many vacation weeks as possible.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that came from the teachers or the students, but that's.
How is it that you got our top 2 favorites on the same?
I know,
administration?
it works out. Rezoning and calendar both on the same agenda. So, but to start us off with our calendar, we have Dr. Edith Upshaw to share with us.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Hubert and Dr. Knoll. I think Dr. Knoll has summarized the presentation for today.
Doctor, all right.
Dr. Hubert.
Dr. Hubert.
Oh, excuse me, President Hubert.
You must be thinking that's Bonnie up here.
Well, Ms. Blakeblock brings up this information for us to be able to share with you today. One of the things that we ask you as we share this information is that we're looking for your feedback for us to be able to give information on the start date. You know, if we feel strongly for an early start date, a late start date. If we want to give our preference or feedback on whether we want 3 consecutive weekends or long weekends during that Christmas break, and then what do we feel about, you know, coming to school beyond Memorial Day. So I'll go ahead and get started. So looking at this process, as you're familiar with, we have our district level planning and decision-making committee of Conroe ISD. They are the responsible group in developing the school calendar, and they present as a recommendation to you, the Board of Trustees. This committee will develop 1 or more drafts and samples and will receive input on the calendars from the community, from teachers, from staff, from schools, and also from the surveys that we send out. And we are hoping to be able to send a survey based on your feedback and meeting with them tomorrow to get out before Thanksgiving break. So these calendars will be posted on the CISD website and will be available for review and comment. We've already sent out a summary of some samples to get feedback to share with you today. And our anticipation is to come back to you in January so that you can give us feedback and be able to decide on a date. So looking at this timeline, as you see here, we started first with October 20th, presenting to the district level committee. We are here to solicit feedback from you. Tomorrow we take that feedback to that group. That group then starts looking at those changes and adjustments and publishes this feedback to community for feedback to come back to them in January, and then we come back to you for a final decision on the 18th. So here are some highlights. We are a district of innovation. And in this plan, it allows us the flexibility to not have to start school on August the 22nd or after, so we can start it before. And the calendar must ensure a minimum of 75,600 minutes, or if you look at that, that's 420 minutes a day times 180. And we build in minutes for 2 required makeup days, which is 184 of these minutes, in case of a weather day, which we've taken every day, or other emergencies that might happen in our community. And holidays are not scheduled on days identified by TEA for student assessment. Things we know about the process. There are currently 176 days in our current school calendar. The state standard's 180. Our teachers work a contract of 187 days, so when we plan that, we have to make sure we count those days within the calendar. Currently, we have a staff development early release, and that allows us, and we have a waiver that came to you in September, and that allows us to be able to have those staff development days or those early release days to equivalent of 2,100 minutes. And we historically take off these holidays listed here. What we've learned through all the years of both Dr. Knoll and Dr. Hines being the calendar czars and bringing this information to you is our calendar greatly affects our family, our community, our business, and just the county as a whole. We've had positive feedback with starting in the middle of the week. Excluding the first week or short week, 3 days or less, are usually an attendance challenge. The week of Thanksgiving is popular amongst everyone, just not our staff, but also of our families.
Especially right now.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. And people like 3-day weekends in the winter break, and spring break can be moved. We historically go with the majority of the Texas universities, and especially with our community college like Lone Star. And the debate about the balanced semesters is ever present. You know, families do want those projects complete, those semester exams done prior to going into the holiday break. So here's some our current calendar, as we're working through that this current school year, just some things to note there. And one of the things that we wanted to bring forth to you together is the school calendar start dates for the past 17 years. And as you can see here, August 11th was the earliest start date that we've ever had. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the information we put out there recently. We included 5 potential sample calendar drafts to have some information to share with you. So these are areas to note. The start date, October holiday versus a staff development, a winter break, start date and length, and end date and teacher work date. And like I mentioned before when we were getting started to queue up this PowerPoint, those are the things that we really want to get some feedback on with you to be able to take back to the committee. So here are the folks that submitted survey responses in our community. We've got almost 9,000 responses, and the majority are from parents within the community and currently CISD employees. One of the questions we asked is, did you like the calendar? And you can see that 56% said yes, 17% said no, and then indifferent was about 27%. So you could really say here that overwhelmingly people are okay with the calendar that we have right now. Because being indifferent doesn't mean they don't like it, it means they're okay with it. So before we move into the drafts, I'm going to do a summary on the draft. I'm not going to go through each one of those bullet points there, but I do want to just to note to you that all the drafts that we have in front of you are these samples that we selected feedback on. All of them do have November the 8th as a holiday, or excuse me, as a student holiday and a staff development day for our teachers. So calendar A, this one is very similar to the one we're in right now. This one just has an August 10th start date, which would be now the earliest in 18 years that we've had. Draft B, this one has a later start date, so that's the following week, which is the 16th, but it does have 2 consecutive weekends in winter break instead of 3. That's one thing we want to note, some feedback from you. And note, it has long weekends in February and April, like our current calendar does now, and it has a holiday on October the 10th. Draft C, it also has a later start and has 3 consecutive weekends in the winter break, which through past years has received great feedback. School ends on May 26th, but the teachers return after Memorial Day for a holiday. And October the 10th still remains a staff development day. Draft D, it has a later start as well, and it has 3 consecutive weekends in the winter break. School ends on May 25th and on the workday. The workday is May 26th, so it is before the Memorial Day holiday, but teachers have to return back to work on that Monday following New Year's, which is January the 2nd, in order to accomplish to end prior to Memorial Day. And October 10th still remains that staff holiday. In the last sample that we solicited feedback for, it has a later start on August 16th. It has 3 consecutive weekends in the winter break. It ends school on June the 1st after Memorial Day, but maintains October 10th as a staff development and a student holiday, and allows staff to return to winter break on January 3rd instead of the 2nd like calendar D. And Draft E also has a 4-day weekend for students and staff in February, like the current calendar just now, and also in April. So based on the survey results, if we want to look at 5th grade math, we have a little study on mean, median, and standard deviation. But basically what that means is, how did I look that up, is the average is what we're looking at, is the average score, right? Remember when we solicited feedback, we asked them to rank it in order, number 1 being the one that you preferred, and number 5 being the one that you least preferred. So the mean, calendar C, wins, or it ranks the highest, which is at 2.61. So it was the one that had the most liked parts, I will say that, had the most liked parts. Something interesting about the data too, what this kind of tells you, that's the most liked parts. They also liked several versions of calendar A and calendar E, right? They might have liked some good parts about it, but maybe disliked certain parts about it. For example, what I can tell you in summary what this means is they like a later start on August 16th. Both teachers and students want to end prior to Memorial Day. And they can live with the optional January 2nd or 3rd. That's what this feedback kind of gives us. And they also prefer or would like maybe a 4-day weekend in February or in April. So those are the options or the information that I give to you. So our feedback is me just asking you, our plan is to come to you in January, but before I conclude tonight, any feedback that you have for us or for our staff to be able to take back to the district level planning committee.
Okay.
Yes, so overall, just looking for comments, basically, and that next step will then, we're not looking for anything definitive tonight.
Yes,
If there's
absolutely.
options you'd like to see, we'll share those with the committee tomorrow. The committee will build more optional calendars that will go up, and we'll get more feedback. We'll come back in January with a recommendation. But really, as you look at it, there's just a couple, so much of it is really built for you, right? There's really just a couple of decisions to make.
Yeah.
How early do you want to start? If the 10th feels just too early, which a lot of our feedback tells us that, then we know that. We need to be looking at the later start date. The winter break is an interesting one, right? With Christmas falling on a Sunday, it does put us a little bit in no man's land. To get the 3 weekends, maybe you can pull one of those back, if you could back up just to show that.
C.
Yeah, C, since that'd be great. Let's just talk through C a little bit. So you can see, starting on the 16th, that gives a little bit later, still early, right? But compared to the 11th, as when we started this year, it's a little later. As you go down and you see the Christmas break, having 3 weekends really helps to stretch it. We have a lot of families that travel internationally to go see families. So that does play a big role. One of the things that we do take into account and we have to be aware of is for our families that are living with divorce decrees, oftentimes a change of custody happens on the 28th. And so when we come back to school early in January, it may not be as balanced. And you would hope that maybe families can work that out, but that's just not always the case. So we have to be aware of that. It's not the driver of a decision, but we're aware of that. At the same time, when we come back too late in January, we'll hear from families that say, my vacation ran out in December. I don't have new vacation in January, and I don't have anybody to stay with my kids. So there's all those balances. As we look at C and we look at the school year concluding, to have a work day, to have teachers come back after Memorial Day, certainly not ideal. We have had a Saturday work day in the past. I know. But then summer starts. That's the only good news. But, you know, if we were to go with this, we would have to play with how do we make that work? And one option could be to start on the 15th instead of the 16th. We don't like to start on a Monday. It sure is nice to have the ability to ease into a day, but if that's what it took to make a change. So anyway, your feedback, if you have any strong thoughts that we could share with the committee tomorrow, we would just appreciate your opinion, because what we don't want to do is have them build calendars and send them out to the public and be things that you just can't support.
Questions?
So, looking at C, looks like it's a balanced semester. Did all 5 have the balanced semesters? Did we
Yes,
all-
sir.
Okay.
As closely as we could.
And I know I've got mixed feelings about this. I know I'm the one that started this conversation after the 2016 election. But having that election day off, or that's a teacher workday built in here. And I struggle with, that's a fabulous opportunity for teachers to talk to students about student engagement and civic engagement, and why are all these people in our buildings, they're voting. But I know we've also had some allegations in years past of uncomfortable situations in car rider lines and electioneering and safety concerns about access to the building. So do all 5 of them have that November 8th
Yes, they
day?
do, sir.
Okay,
They do all have it planned in.
thank you.
Ms. Chase?
Well, I don't really have a question. I'll just give you some feedback. And I think I'm just going to be reiterating what you already know. But when I asked around to parents in anticipation of this conversation, I heard overwhelmingly the same things. This year was too early. Yeah. Everyone wants to end prior to Memorial Day. They like the 3 weekends in December, and we have to keep the full week in Thanksgiving. Yeah, it's the stuff you already
So we
know.
just need to make that happen, right? Yeah.
That's good. Anecdotal
That's
feedback
great
backs
feedback.
up. I mean,
Thank you.
the data backs that up as well.
Yeah, it's good to know. Yeah.
Mr. Raymond?
Without counting these up, how many days are in semester 1? Do you have that handy on this C?
Depending on the draft, so if you look
On
at the
C
bottom of C.
specifically.
yes.
It's there at the bottom,
It's
sir.
Oh, okay.
Days of instruction
81
there.
days, yeah.
81 to 95?
81 days, and it should be 93?
93, okay.
Yes, sir.
95.
95.
95, sorry, it is
That's a
really tiny.
176 instructional day calendar.
And is it possible to maybe ask the teachers about starting on the 15th? I know, Dr. Knoll, you had said how it's easy to ease into that, but then that you were saying something about that Saturday workday or having to come back.
Yeah,
Maybe
we can
get some teacher feedback on.
Yeah, and that's the role of that district level planning committee that we'll have tomorrow. You know, that'll probably generate a lot of the discussion tomorrow, right? In that group of, if we brought this as the starting point for discussion, I think, you know, perhaps we would put that out there as an option to start on Monday, or, you know, leave one like this. But yeah, we'll definitely, and over time, we'll get, I think last year, what did we have, Dr. Hines, 10,000, 12,000 comments?
Different calendars.
Yeah, we will definitely get feedback.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation, thank you.
I have one additional kind of thought, and that is putting on there when the graduations would be held.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of times that seniors, I know, having been on the board a long time, we used to have graduations over Memorial Day weekend and then be off Memorial Day and actually have to come back. I think it's important because some of those students are going off because they've enlisted, or they've got military academy, or they've got plans, and I just hate for seniors to miss graduation for whatever reason. If it's possible to kind of just put in there just the graduation times, because I presume they would be before that 26th.
Yeah, so we actually have those dates. Mr. Colson, would you like to share those? Because they're venue dependent. So I know that he's been in contact.
What we've asked for, and my eyes aren't that good to see from here, starting on Thursday the 20th, go the 20th, the 21st, and 22nd. Now, the 21st is not a guarantee. I'm not sure we can get pavilion on a Friday.
Right. That'd be hard, unless you plan on getting up singing.
Wait.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be 20, yeah.
Then if we can't get Friday, we would go Sunday, and then we would go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
So even if you choose a calendar that extends beyond Memorial Day,
right,
our graduations will happen before, because that's when we can get the venue. So,
well, again, I just know a lot of people like to
Yes.
go see family and other
Indeed.
things over the Memorial Day holiday, and I'd like to give them that opportunity if we could make sure that all that's done before.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, remember, if we're doing it at the pavilion, we're fighting with Bonnie's
Indeed.
dance.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Right, right. Anyway, it's just something that could be.
No, it's great, absolutely.
Any additional comments or feedback?
All right.
Yeah, I did mention,
Thank you,
just,
Dr. Upshaw.
just to be fair, we did a YouTube Live last night, and we shared some discussion with the community about our calendars, and we had some questions come in about, more of an intersessional type calendar that had more weeks off spaced out at different places, and I know we've shared that information with you all, but right now the research just doesn't support that as being what's best for children and what's best for learning, and so that's not something that we bring forward to you. In addition to that, it would not only extend our school year, but it would also extend our school day to being very late. So at this time,
I worry about kids being at home by themselves too, because
yes.
parents don't have time off, then children are going to be unsupervised.
Yeah, working
That's the
families,
right place.
it's difficult. So I do want to acknowledge that we did hear that feedback. It wasn't that it went unheard. It's just, to your point, it's another great point as to why it has not pushed forward.
Got it.
Thank you,
very
Dr.
much.
Upshaw. All right, item 5B, receive update regarding attendance zone for elementary and intermediate schools in the Conroe High School feeder zone.
The only thing better than calendar is rezoning.
That's right.
We'll ask Dr. Hines and McCord to help us with that.
It's good that parents are passionate about their schools. That's
right.
They love
They love their schools.
They love their schools. It's
The
part of
good news is they usually love the new one too.
They do.
It
Yes.
works out.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Knoll. Tonight, Mr. McCord, who co-facilitates with me this process, we're going to share a little bit update on where we are with the zoning for the Annette Gordon Reed Elementary School, which just kind of a quick kind of reminder where we are with that. This is a rendering of our school. It is a new elementary being built on McCaleb Road that will house roughly 950 students. We believe it's going to be a K through 6, but we also haven't ruled out other possibilities, and we'll share some of that this evening as far as where we are with this process. This is just a quick reminder. I know Mr. Foster will share probably some more updated pictures. This is a picture of the construction site and looking out, and that is McCaleb Road there to the right. And just to orient you in terms of the location, if you're not familiar with this particular area, it is just north of Stewart Elementary and north of 2854. And this kind of gives you a good map of the Conroe area, looking at the loop and going west. And in fact, tonight, a lot of our maps are going to really cover a lot of the changes in these areas. And so we'll share more information shortly. Just a quick reminder, this is just a copy of our current elementary feeder zone for the Conroe area. And as you can see, we'll be adding one more elementary. We know we'll have to add another elementary pretty soon, but this elementary will also come with a K-6 solution in terms of providing seats in 5th and 6th grade. So we also have the intermediate feeder zone map, as well as just a general reminder. And the red represents the current Stewart Elementary K through 6 boundary. And so this last map is just a reminder. This is kind of our fast growth areas, just some of the fast growth areas in the Conroe feeder. This is the Conroe High School feeder. And you can see one of the challenges that we're going to be facing in the next few years is we're having fast growth all over the Conroe area. So what we're doing is working on a solution with Gordon Reed's opening that will, we have really kind of going into this, we had some basic objectives. One, first and foremost, we're going to create a population to attend the new school. Second, we're going to provide relief to Giesinger Elementary, which is crowded. We currently have 8 portable classrooms there. We're running about 115% capacity, so we want to get Giesinger reduced. We also know that Giesinger has some fast growth areas that you saw on that previous map. And then we also want to leave some room at Stewart for growth because that area is still growing. We also want to leave some room for growth at Gordon Reed because that is also going to be an area that's growing. And so trying to be mindful of that. To do this, we are always aware of the challenges that come with rezoning. We know schools are communities. We know that families often have a history with a particular school. Stewart Elementary has been open long enough now that a student who started there in kindergarten would now be in junior high. So we have not been through a zoning process with this school previously, and so this will be our first one. But often we know that families choose where they live to go to a particular school. So many families move there to go to this school. And many families we've heard from, we've received nearly 150 comments that said, feel strongly about a K through 6 configuration because they have multiple children and they like having them in the same school. So we certainly have been receiving a lot of comments. So to work on this process, we have convened a rather large committee, and they've done a great job. We've been meeting since September. We have a principal and a parent from each of our elementaries in the feeder, as well as our intermediate schools. We also have some central office staff that serve as resources, so we get some help with things like the web page and transportation routes and some other backup. Regina Woody does a great job as our system analyst in helping us put together maps based on what gets submitted as ideas. And we do have a website. I'll just put a quick plug for it. It's been up since September. People can submit ideas or comments on the website. It's also where we put information about this process, as well as the zoning scenarios that we have been considering. There's over 25 that are no longer under consideration that the committee's looked at, including, we even looked at one earlier that had a K through 2, pre-K through 2 in one school and 3 through 6 in another school. So we've looked at different scenarios. And tonight, I put over the more detailed maps of 3 scenarios that are still under consideration. And before we show them to you, I will point out that there's little slight differences in each of them, kind of like the calendar, right? There's just little differences in each of them. And at the end of the day, and we've been very clear and upfront with, as we've shared these publicly, that we still could pick something that we like from one map and put it over on another map. We've shown it's a possibility, and so there's quite a bit there. There's still 3 maps that are up for consideration. And there's still a few questions that this committee is going to wrestle with for the next few weeks. And our hope is to be back here in January with our recommendation. But some of these questions that we're still debating and tweaking a little bit, where exactly to split the Stewart-Gordon-Reed boundaries. And we've gone back and forth. Originally we were trying to get more students, and then we started trying to carve out, and then we realized we were splitting a neighborhood because it gets tricky in there between Ridge Lake Shores and Montgomery Trace. So we think we've got some maps figured out that work pretty well. And then at the end of the day, it really wasn't that many more students, and we can make it work. So there's some, that question still has to be definitively answered, as well as how much area do we pull from Giesinger, or do we pull any from Rice, or from Giesinger to Rice or to Gordon Reed to alleviate crowding at Giesinger. We know we're going to move some students, and that's something that we've played with a few different scenarios with, and so there's some minor tweaks to that, but there will be some movement there. And as we anticipated, people aren't going to be happy about that, right? So if I get pulled where I might orient my day towards Conroe, and now I'm going to be pulled to the south, and we've heard that, but certainly it's an area that we have to address the crowding. And then whether or not we should combine the 5th and 6th grades into one school has been a topic for discussion of us. And the reason we've looked at that is simply because of the discussion about the size of the cohort. And so when we split, if we split into 2 K-6s, which 2 of these are doing that, we know for a while until we grow back, these cohorts are going to be rather small, which means when students leave 6th grade and go to junior high, they won't be going with a larger set of friends, they'll be going with a smaller set of friends, and certainly it's a social adjustment, not so much an academic adjustment as a social one, and it's one that we are mindful of, and we've discussed, and our committee spent a lot of time talking about that. And so you'll see one of the options has everybody combined at one school for 5th and 6th grade. So that is something that the committee is still discussing and kind of working through. And then also you'll see a couple of small tweaks in these maps that involve Patterson, Anderson, and Runyon. And again, those are things that we go back and forth on because ultimately we know with the growth that we're experiencing, we're going to have another elementary on the east side of our Conroe attendance zone in the future, and then we'll end up redoing it again. So we're certainly wanting to be very strategic about doing anything and not moving something to only undo it in a few years. So We are having those discussions and looking at those things, and we'll work through those. But we've made really great progress, and they've done a great job, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. McCord, who does a great job also, and I'm going to steer a little bit with the cursor.
Okay.
Good evening. As Dr. Hunt had alluded to, we have 3 scenarios that our committee is considering at this time. So I'm going to divide those 3 scenarios into 2 groups. First, I will discuss one scenario that has Gordon Reed as a pre-K through 6 campus, and Stewart as a pre-K through 4 campus. Then we'll discuss 2 different scenarios that have both campuses being pre-K through 6. So I will go through this, and as we go, it does help to remember that in all the scenarios, if you see Gordon Reed having elementary students there, they would also be intermediate students at Gordon Reed. That's helpful. So the first one I'm going to discuss is version 6.2.3. The screen you're looking at shows you the elementary outcomes potentially from this idea that the committee has brought forth, and I will hit just the highlights. So I'll draw your attention to the gray on the west side, and you'll see all the gray areas. There's a light gray, and then there's some darker gray areas. The light gray all goes to Gordon Reed Elementary in this concept. Green would go to Stewart. The darker gray, if you look down to the bottom, you'll see 81B. 81B would transition from B.B. Rice up to Annette Gordon Reed Elementary. Right now, there are no students there. Also going up north toward the northwest, you'll see 3 different sections, 4B, 4D, and 4G, that would transition from Giesinger potentially to Annette Gordon Reed. So those are important to note. Also worth noting, if you'll go over the dark yellow to the northeast, you'll see 20B. Patterson potentially would send students to Anderson, and in purple, and you'll see the little inset there for 15D where it pulls it out from inside the city. Anderson would send students to Sam Houston. As we look at the intermediate iteration of this map, it's important to note that you'll see that because Annette Gordon Reed would be the pre-K through 6 and 5 through 6 on the left side, that it would have a wide swath of land that includes what right now would be the Stewart 5th and 6th grade zone, but also potentially 4G, 4B, 4D, and 81B. The dark purple section you see there, where 14B and A15 lie, would be a transition from Bosman to Travis. So that would be a little transition there as part of this iteration. Just the real important things to remember here, this iteration has Annette Gordon Reed is pre-K through 6, and Stewart is pre-K through 4. Stewart would be at 562 students at opening, and at opening, Annette Gordon Reed would be around 686 students. So that would be important to note also. If you look on the lower right, the total students impacted here of the 3 scenarios which I will discuss, the largest number of this would be in this scenario, which are 788.
Can you repeat that real quick? Stewart would be pre-K through 4.
Stewart, pre-K through 4 with 562 students.
And Annette Gordon Reed?
Annette Gordon Reed would be exactly around 686 students pre-K through 6. And if you want to break it down further, it'd be 402 or 400-ish pre-K through 4 and around 284 5th and 6th graders. It's also, since you asked, it's worthy of mentioning that that number, around 284, would bring it in line and be very consistent with the number of kids in the combined classes for 5th and 6th grade at our other schools that feature a pre-K through 6 alignment. Just worthy of note. It's a real good question. So, but it would be the biggest impact as far as students. We'll transition to 2 scenarios to have Stewart and Annette Gordon Reed serving both as pre-K through 6. So we're going to start with 6.3.4, and as we go to that, on the elementary slide, I think the thing that stands out more than anything else that I would draw your attention to is on the west side, 82F. In this iteration, as opposed to the previous one, 82F, which we call Montgomery Trace north of the electric lines, well, because we have to call it something, it would move north. And it would move north to Annette Gordon Reed versus staying south with Stewart in this particular version. Also, if you look closer into town, and you'll find 5E, there's a little inset there up top that shows you 5E. That group currently goes to Giesinger, but they would move to Rice. That would be the Abbey of Conroe Apartments. It is right there on the southeast, like the southwest corner of I-45 and 105. right there as you make the turn coming out of the lanes.
Mr. McCord,
Yes.
82G and 82F, where is Stewart Elementary physically in that? Is it,
57.
oh, is it in?
No.
64.
No, that's Gordon Reed.
That's in that Gordon Reed.
57.
It's right there, right in the middle of that green intersectional line.
Got it, thank you.
Excellent question, down south. So we talked about that, we talked about intermediate, so we talked about Abbey of Conroe Apartments would be 5E. One thing to note about the intermediate is that in this would be a clean version, and that everybody who goes to Stewart for elementary school would go there for 5th and 6th grade. And also, on the same token, everyone that goes to Annette Gordon Reed for elementary school would go there for 5th and 6th grade. And you look at the numbers are 595 that would be impacted. That is the low end of the students that would be impacted of all the three scenarios, 595. And then you can see the specific breakdown of movement from school to school that we'll be looking at. In fact, our group meets tomorrow to further explore this. The last iteration is scenario 7.3.2, and this scenario has pre-K through 6 for both of them. As you look at it, I would draw your attention this time to the east side, where you'll find in section 35F, orange, you'll see Runyon sending some students to Wilkinson. And they'll be going from Runyon, going south to Wilkinson. 15D and 20B, which we talked about previously under 6.2.3, have the same movement they did before. It's really important here to note, if you'll go to the west and look at 82F, right there along Fish Creek, in this particular scenario, 7.3.2, those people in 82F would stay to the south and would go to Stewart. And then also up north, a little bit of a difference. If you'll find up by Giesinger, you'll find 4E. 4E up there in the dark gray. In this scenario, those students would be pulled to the west where they would go to Annette Gordon Reed Elementary, and then Annette Gordon Reed for intermediate school. So that's 4E Wedgewood Forest. And so looking at the totals, or looking at the intermediates, is worthy of note. On the intermediate slide, we have Bosman to Travis moving 14B and A15. Stewart, in this scenario, opens at 705 students. Remember, it has a capacity of 950. Gordon Reed opens at 557, and they're both pre-K through 6. This is the middle range as far as impact. In the lower right-hand corner, the range of impact would be 680 students. So these are the three scenarios we have now. We'll be trying to come forth to January to recommend one that hopefully you will like and will be agreed upon by all. And just looking at the things we've done, these are our presentations we've done with the community. They've been wonderful. And upcoming next, we have one on January 10th over Zoom. And then January 11th, we will meet again at 6:30 p.m. at Stewart. They've been gracious to host us. We've had a good little crowd that's come out. They've asked some really good questions, and we've enjoyed meeting with them. And then our hopes is to come forward to January and have make a recommendation to you in the January school board meeting.
Do you mind going back to the second scenario?
Yes, let's go here. So
Let's see.
6.3.4.
Yeah, 4G. So 4G and D, and I guess we have 4G and D.
Yes.
Did you have those labeled as I forget what the term was, but high growth, thank you, and high growth area?
At this point, there's growth there. The more growth is in 4E, Wedgewood Forest. Dr. Hines, would you agree?
Yeah, 4G also has a development coming in, so it will be a future growth.
Okay. Okay.
So, I mean, and that's part of, when we move those areas, we're not necessarily moving a lot of students, but we're moving the potential for future students, so.
That's what I was getting at, was I only see one or two kids. It's like, why move them? Well, if it's a high growth area, that I understand
And
that.
it's the same thing with that Travis area, you know, it's a highly industrial area that we're moving from Boston to Travis, but if it ever develops or if we get some multifamily housing, we want to be able to position ourselves, because we have some room at Travis and we're running out of room at Boston, so there's really no students in those areas, but we're just positioning ourselves. And it's the same thing with that area along the loop 81B, which is Stone to Rice. We currently do not have students there, but in the future, we don't know, right? We may have some development, and so we want to position ourselves.
Okay.
I know some of you are very familiar with this area and live out there, and a lot of it also is worthy of consideration is whether the area whether the section empties into Fish Creek / McCaleb or whether it empties into 2854. So
Yeah.
always as the crow flies, it's not, it looks like that's the shortest distance, but in reality, it's not. So all those things, the committee's been great in considering.
I have a question which I would preference with a statement and say my personal preference would be this clean version where kids are not bouncing back and forth from Stewart to Gordon for 5th and 6th. I like the clean version of being able to stay in that campus the entire time. I know there's some budget considerations there because we have increased programming for 5th and 6th, orchestra, band, different levels of things like that. But if we're gonna consider one of them being pre-K4 and one be pre-K6, why is there not, maybe there was, and it's one of the ones that was not considered, where Stewart remains the pre-K6 and Gordon Reed's becomes the pre-K4? Because right now, if we split them and Stewart's pre-K4, it feels like everybody's being pulled north to Gordon Reed or pulled north to Cryer, whereas we could split and send some north and some, some to Cryer, some south to Stewart. It just,
There was one that we did look at, and it was one that we eliminated, and mostly for our transportation reasons.
The bus barn, the proximity to the bus barn.
thank you.
It's a good question. And to answer, not all by any stretch, but the majority of comments we've received echo what you say, and they would like to have a pre-K through 6. But certainly not all. There's
Sure.
other people that have contrarian ideas, so.
Any other thoughts or questions? Okay, very good.
Thank you.
For that. All right, moving on to item 6, teaching and learning. Item 6A, receive 2020-2021 SAT, ACT advanced placement and high school completion results. Dr.
All right,
Knoll.
Mr. Greg Colston, our Assistant Superintendent for High Schools.
Thank you, President Huber, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. Tonight, we want to update you on our CCM College Career Military Readiness progress, specifically for the class of 2020. Before we do that, I want to thank everyone who's helped put this presentation together, Dr. Hines, Dr. Upshaw, Tally Stout, our Director of Career and Technology Education, if you'd stand, please, Dana Boyer, our Coordinator of Career and Technology Education, Debbie McNeely, as Coordinator of our Advanced Academic Programs, Laura Willard, College Readiness Specialist, and my Administrative Assistant, Tracy Peterson. They've done yeoman's work in putting all this together, and I can't thank them enough. But all the data we talk about tonight is truly the work at the campus level and the work our teachers do with our students. So as kind of a reminder, college career military readiness is a huge part of our accountability system for our high schools. Up to 47%, we'll get 47% of a school's accountability can be made up of college career military readiness. The state's goal is for 60% of our graduating seniors to have earned a point in CCMR by the year 2030. Right now, the class of 2020, and this is lagging data, the state gives us a year to capture more data and so it can be as accurate as possible. So we're talking about the class of 2020, 64% of that class already had met CCMR by the time they graduated. The way you earn a point in CCMR, to kind of remind you, earning a score of 3 on an advanced placement exam, meeting Texas Success Initiative criteria in reading and math, and you can do that by successful scores on the SAT, ACT, and the TSI Accuplacer. In the SAT, you need a score of 480 in evidence-based reading and writing, a 530 in math. In the ACT, score of 19 in reading, a score of 19 in math with a 23 composite will earn you a point. The TSI Accuplacer is a test many of our students take before they can enroll in dual credit classes. A score of 945 in reading and 950 in math will earn a point. And you can mix and match. You can have a 480 on the SAT in reading, evidence-based reading, and a 19 in math on the ACT with a 23 composite and earn that point. You can also earn a point by taking dual credit classes. 3 hours in math or 3 hours in English will get you a point, or 9 hours outside of those areas in dual credit classes. Earning an associate's degree is an opportunity for earning a point. And there are 248 industry-based certifications that students have an opportunity to take and be successful on to earn a point. Special education students who successfully complete their IEP and are deemed workforce ready by the time they graduate also earns a point. So in previous years, TA allowed students who enrolled in the enlisted in the military to receive a point, but there were some problems with that, and that has been temporarily suspended. We believe that that will come back in the future as an opportunity for our students to earn a CCMR point. And actually, kind of backing up, what does college career military ready mean? Well, as far as college ready, it means that by demonstrating your proficiency on the exams, that you will be successful at the freshman level on an entry course. In career, that's the IBC portion of it, and then the military is pretty self-explanatory. Here are our results for the class of 2020, and that is the number of students who actually met each of those criteria and the percentage of that group. Short of reading it to you, a lot of our students made success in passing the TSI tests, the SAT, ACT, AP portion of it. The 248 industry-based certifications are listed there. We had 566 students in the class of 2020 earn a point through that. A couple taking note, the most popular was clinical medical assistant, and then there are several Microsoft Office specialist courses that our students have been very successful on. If you remember, the class of 2020 did not actually get to complete the year in brick and mortar school. They finished the last 9 weeks virtually, and we really feel like that diminished the number of students who were able to successfully complete an industry-based certification. Kind of looking at the SAT, ACT performance, everything we've talked about up to now was lagging data. This is current data. This is for the class of 2021. We mentioned that a 480 and a 530 in evidence-based reading and writing and math were what you needed to be successful or to receive a point. Well, you can see our students far exceeded that with a 565 in evidence-based reading and a 565 in math for 1129 composite. So we've done really well with that. 78% of our seniors met the requirements and were deemed college ready. Less than 20% of our students who took it were not successful in either one. ACT is the other college entrance exam taken by many students in Texas. And again, going back to a 19 in reading and math and a 23 composite will get you the CCMR point. And as you can see, our students far outperform both the state and the nation in all 4 tests and the composite score. We're very proud of that. Here's a 5-year look at the ACT and SAT trends. Even with the pandemic, the last couple of years, our students have continued to do very well. And the ACT, we're 5 points ahead on the composite of both the state and the nation, which is quite an accomplishment. Participation, far more of our students take the SAT than the ACT. It went down slightly from 2020 to 2021. Part of that is we still had between 10 and 15% of our high school students who were virtual last year and maybe didn't take the test. And then many of the universities have gone to a more holistic admissions approach, and we're requiring test scores to be submitted. And if you were a student and you had a good holistic portfolio to present, it was probably a risky venture to take the test and present something less than a qualifying score. So we feel like that has really contributed to the number that did not take the test. Yes, sir.
Mr. Colson, that's not just for this last year, correct? Isn't that something that's, at some point, is it not a trend moving forward?
That is a trend, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We presented a couple years ago that the universities have moved to a more holistic approach. And many of them still required the scores, but that wasn't the major point of consideration. But I think that the pandemic has furthered that cause and many more.
Do you think that that trend will,
Continue?
well, just take the relevancy away from students taking these? Because as you pointed out, if a student had a good holistic approach, they probably didn't want to risk taking this test. Do you see the relevance of these tests going away in the future?
Because I think it's more than just entrance to a university. I think when you get down to it, and Laura Willard, you're here, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's more than just general admissions. It's placements into specific colleges within universities that may not have been important to get into the university, but it being placed in the college of your choice could be an important factor. Anything to add to that? She's coached me well.
And scholarship considerations, so we're still seeing it as factors in the major placement, and how the universities can merit scholarships.
Okay. I've also seen it used as a tool for parents to see if their child, their student, is ready for the rigor of college as well. And that also helps tell a student, even though they may get in, are they able to handle the rigor of that college as well?
Also, the major, you determine where you're gonna steer your kid toward as far as academic discipline, you know?
Sure.
It does help give an enlistment test of where you're gonna be, where your kid is, right?
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Help me.
Our testing trends, obviously, we give far more SATs than ACTs, and that's primarily because SAT is a more widely accepted test in the state of Texas and pretty much the southern part of the United States. The ACT tends to be more of a Midwestern, Northeastern phenomena. We mentioned advanced placement tests. Here's a look at the class of 2021. The blue is the number of tests given. The red is the number of students who took tests. So you can see that the vast majority of our students take more than one AP exam, and this is strictly for the class of 2021.
Do most students who take the ACT take the SAT as well, or?
No,
is
very
this
few.
really
Well, I think we had
one or the other?
Mostly it's one or other. We had 379 students from a class of over 4,000 took both tests.
Okay.
And again, we mentioned that a score of 3 or higher is generally deemed worthy of college credit. And here's a look at how our students performed. The number that made a 3 or higher was over 60%. And even with the COVID, the pandemic year, it only dropped slightly, went from 64 to 62%.
That's impressive.
And again, we outperformed the state and the nation. The state did not have data available for the last 2 years.
Is that on
from
purpose?
the College Board.
Is that on purpose? They don't want to show up?
I cannot comment on that. Here's kind of a look, just an interesting look at the number of students who take each course. Human geography is the first course students have an opportunity, AP course a student has an opportunity to take as a freshman. And we had 811 freshmen district-wide in 2021, and they scored a 70% of them scored a 3 or higher. The next most popular one is a sophomore level course, which is AP World History, and those students did well as well. So that's kind of a look at the 10 most popular AP courses on our campuses. Another big program that's growing and earns points for CCMR is our dual credit programs. This is a look at the courses offered on our campuses. Biology 2401 basically takes the place of anatomy and physiology. Those students who opt for the dual credit, and then 2401 is the first half of it, and 2402 is the senior class. It's only offered at Caney Creek at this time. Chemistry 1411 is a senior level course. That's chemistry. English 1301 and 1302 coincides with English 3 in freshman college English. 2332 and 2333 is senior level English. And then other ones to note are the history ones that is in place of our U.S. history at the high school level taken as juniors. So The math ones are college algebra, trig, and pre-cal. So those are the most common ones. For the class of 2021, we had 2,800 students earn 17,625 college credit hours before they ever enter college. That is a tremendous value to their parents and to themselves to have that many hours out of the way at a relatively bargain rate for college credit hours. The thing that we work very hard for, and the most important thing we do, is graduate students from high school. For the class of 2021, the graduation rate was 97.3%, which was up almost a point from the class of 2000, from the previous class. And again, this is lagging data, so this is actually 2020, not 2021. So the question you ask is 97.3% graduate. What happens to the 2.7%? Less than 1% earned their GED. About 1.5% came back and finished their requirements for graduation, and less than 1% of our students dropped out from the class of 2020, which is a tremendous accomplishment when you compare it to the state. There's a lot of people who work very hard to make sure our kids stay in school and are successful, and we're very proud and thankful of that.
And on that, Dr. Coulson, can somebody speak to when a student drops out and they turn 18 and they're out of the system, you guys don't give up at that point, right?
No, sir. No, sir. And I mean, it's kind of a year-long process. We have students enroll and withdraw all the time. In campuses, as soon as a student withdraws, they start tracking his progress or her progress to make sure that they either enroll in another Texas public school, they've gone to a private school, they're going to school, so they find out where they're going. And at the point, if they haven't enrolled someplace and are still in our area, we have a team that goes out and tries to recover them and get them back in school.
Right.
That would be Mr. Chavez's team that we heard from at the
Yes.
workshop.
Yeah.
They support the campuses have full teams that do that too, and then Mr. Chavez's team is the assist them.
He's the cold case person,
Indeed, yes.
so to speak.
He gets them.
He does.
He gets them. He finds them and gets them.
While it's not part of CCMR, because we honored our National Merit Scholars tonight, I wanted to include the numbers. We talked about the 26 semifinalists. It's pretty tough in Texas to become a National Merit semifinalist. Each state, and as we mentioned earlier, each state takes all of their scores, and the top 1% of those scores become National Merit semifinalists. Well, the cut score for the state of Texas was 220 for this class. The only cut score I could find in any state that was higher than Texas was New Jersey, and it was 222. So if you don't make that cut score, you go down to the commended students, and that's the top 5% in every state that took the PSAT. There's probably about 60% of our students who are commended students that if they went east of us, west of us, north of us, would be National Merit semifinalists, which is a tremendous accomplishment for our state and the number of kids who take the test. There are also several other programs out there that recognize students for their performance. On the PSAT, there's a National Hispanic Recognition Program, and that recognizes the top 2% of all test takers who identify themselves as being at least 1/4% Hispanic. And then the National Achievement Scholarship Program recognizes African-American students who perform well on the PSAT. And again, there are scholarship opportunities for many of those students as well based upon their performance. Every year we give seniors a survey at the end of their senior year that talks about what your plans are. As you can see here, that 37% of our students from the class of 2021 indicated that they were going on to a 4-year college or university. 27% were going to go to a 2-year school. Both of those are down from the previous year. I think students are just weighing their odds, and about 2% said they were going into the military.
Okay.
So did more shift into unknown?
Yeah, there was more in the unknown category this time. And then where do our students go to school when they leave? The most well-attended school from CISD is Texas A&M University, followed by Sam Houston State, University of Texas, Texas State, and then, of course, in the red,
Thank you.
University of Houston.
Mr. Coach, is ranked in the order of difficulty to it, right?
No, so you're talking about the easiest at the top and the hardest is at the bottom? You can interpret that any way you want to. So,
I got you.
we appreciate your time this evening. We're very proud of our students and
Just
the
let
jobs they
everybody
do.
in.
I have a question, and I understand that this may be somewhat of a rhetorical question for you tonight with no answer. And I'm really asking to every principal and department head and assistant superintendent in the room. It's easy to look at these stats and say, oh, that's great, we're better than the state average, we're better than the national average. But looking at it with more of an analytical lens, we're not number one in the nation. We still have some kids that drop out. We still have students that are not college, career, military ready. So my question is, as we as a board look at allocating resources, allocating personnel, purchasing curriculum, I'm looking at you, Lucy Calkins and Fountas and Pinnell. What do we need to do as a board to allocate resources and personnel to make these numbers even better than they are? So that, I mean, we have room to grow. As long as we have one kid that is not college career ready, we've got room to grow. As long as we are not number one in the nation, we have room to grow. So that's going to be kind of my question looking at this. Everything that comes to us as we move forward, I would like to see it tied to district goals that tie to this. And the reason we need to buy this computer program is because there's evidence that it's going to help our students increase in this area. The reason we need to add personnel to this department is so we increase or decrease student to teacher ratio and increase that. So that's sort of my question to everybody involved in that process as we move forward. I'd like to see the decisions that we make tied directly to even improving these numbers even more.
Well, what I would tell you is it's an ever-changing environment. We have a team that is going out to every one of the high schools and junior highs on a regular basis, talking about where you're at in the process, where your students are, how many of them have a plan that's going to put them in a place to either college ready, career ready, or military ready at the end of it. A lot of the resources we already have is just getting the campuses to use them. So that process has already begun.
Well, thank you.
A great job to you and your team and everyone who made the results that we see here possible. Outstanding job. Appreciate
Thank you.
all that work.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And it is to your point, there's a value decisions that are made in all of this, right? But when you look at how we're evaluated as a school district, we're looked at through two lenses, a financial aspect and then the student achievement aspect. And to your point, we're not number one when you look through both of those lenses. We are number two out of 1,100 school districts in the state of Texas, but we could be number one. But we do pay attention to both of those things, and like I said, it's a value judgment. You look at our tax rate at $1.17, the third lowest in the Houston area. When we look at our student performance and we show that chart, and we look at all of our comparable districts, usually we'll be the second best on that chart. But that's just a generalized statement, but we usually come in behind Katy when you look at those charts. Well, our tax rate at $1.17, Katie's tax rate's $1.35. So when you look at those SAT scores and you say, well, they beat us by 20 points, well, do you spend $90 million a year more like they do in Katy to gain those 20 points? No, I don't think we do that in this county. That's not who we are. We are conservative by nature. We're going to be tight with our tax dollars, but to be smart, like, are there targeted things that we can do that aren't $90 million but can make a difference? It's just more of that. But that is the process that we go through internally all the time. How do we maximize that student achievement, but at the same time, keep the budget as tight as we can, keep the tax rate as low as possible, and that's kind of how we view it.
I remember doing this on a macro or on a micro scale a few years ago with Sam Houston. Right. And we reallocated personnel and we allocated resources to bring them back up and get them out of IR. Mm-hmm. And I would kind of like to see the same thing on a macro version as how do we make this wonderful district even better? How do we stretch our dollars even further so that we're not just above the state average, we're blowing the top off the state average? So
Agreed.
that we're not behind Katy, we're ahead of Katy.
Understood. Yes, sir.
Good conversation. Any more? All right, moving on. Thank you for that presentation. Moving on to item 7, receive capital improvements update.
All right, Mr. Foster.
Oh, there he is over there.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Null. It's my pleasure to bring you an update on our capital improvements we have underway throughout the district. I'm going to start with Creighton Elementary. You recall this is our long-term project. It's a 2-year project, an overhaul of that elementary school. So we've done over this past summer, we did air conditioning, ceiling, all the interior above the ceiling items, increased the water capacity on that campus. So for this time being, we're ramped down a little bit, but so we're focused on the building structure addition. That'll be our kitchen and serving line improvements that we look forward to completing over the rest of this school year and next summer. So you can see here our progress being made in the structural steel, the additional roof area, that you can see the concrete block stacked up will be the extra walls. You see the depression in the slab for the expanded freezer cooler area, things of that nature. The project is going well. It is currently on schedule, and we're scheduled to be there and turn it over as complete in August of 2022. Now, at New Moorhead Junior High School, this is our junior high school that's scheduled to open in August of 23. You can see the building structure is almost complete, so we're moving forward. Starting on the right side of our screen is our fine arts and CTE areas, gyms and athletics, as we're building those, closing them in as we move across. Getting there, so the structure is here. You can see the athletic fields in the top of the picture progressing nicely. On the inside, you can see building systems and things of that nature being installed as we're building the envelope around them. So that project is currently on schedule, and we're scheduled to open in August of 2023. At Conroe High School, this is our major renovation project, so it basically reorganizes the entire campus. So just kind of carry you through, starting on the bottom right, the big dirt portion bottom right is the new JV athletic field. It's you can see the grade elevations starting to take shape on that portion of the building. Kind of moving to the left center, you see that other big dirt spot. That's the new athletic venues for the main campus. And then at the very top of the screen, you see that light blue area at the top. That is building slab preparations for our CTE building that's being constructed around what is currently the existing band hall. So I'm showing you what the new athletic venues for the main campus looks like. So one of our major items here is to try to mitigate the elevation changes across that building to make it more accessible for our staff and students there. So you can see it takes quite a bit of work on the foundational walls to make that happen. But the walls are nearing their completion, so the top of that structure you see there will actually be the first floor of the building.
That's finished floor level at the top of that?
Correct.
Wow.
How tall is that?
Well, that green shirted man there at the bottom is approximately 6 feet tall, so that makes that about right at a 20-foot elevation change there.
That would be such a game changer for that campus to have a
Absolutely.
consistent elevation.
Indeed. I mean, so the project is currently progressing well. It will turn over in phases, but we do anticipate being on that campus working through the calendar year of 2025. So seen here, we're looking at the building slab for the CTE area of the building. So the next big scope of work there is the building structure. So it's over the next couple of months, it'll be vertical, and we'll start being able to really see the project progress. But like I said, it is currently doing well, and it is on schedule for we'll complete the final project in December of 2025. Now, our new Jet Center, which is at the north end zone of the Wood Forest Bank Stadium. So the big milestone we're marching towards is full dry-in of the inside of that building. So you can see the exterior, the roof, the masonry, things of that nature are progressing well. The glass is going in, so that brings it to a dry state on the inside. As we're drying in portions of that building, you can see the inside taking shape as well. The meeting rooms, classrooms, and all the finishes are beginning to take shape in that building. It is currently scheduled, moving pretty well, so we're going to turn it over for our use in the spring semester. So everything looks good for the building to finish, and we're going to outfit it with furniture and technology components over the next several months, and we'll be using it before you know it. Now, Gordon Reed Elementary, that is what we talked about zoning for earlier in the meeting. So you can see from this more updated picture, it doesn't look like much from this angle, but you can see the white areas of the roof are actually the finished roof. The darker areas are the striped areas are the base sheets for that roof, and the gray areas are the lightweight concrete. So at this point, lightweight concrete is over 100% of the building structure, so dry in is very near for us. We're working on the exterior finished masonry currently, and on the inside of that building, we're beginning to see the building finishes start to take shape as we get the areas of that building dry. So over the next several months, we'll start seeing the color and the life and the personality of that campus come together. It is currently on schedule and is scheduled to open for students in August of 2022. Now, Oak Ridge High School overhaul and our South County CTE project. So the overhaul of this campus, the work is still primarily underground. We've got one more big utility switch over before we can really get going on the building foundations. But the dirt area in the bottom of the screen is formerly the bus drop-off for the campus. That will be the new administration section. So we'll, over the next couple of months, we'll see that foundation and structure start taking shape. And the dirt spot right in the middle will be our new CTE additions and central plant for the whole building. And so they've been working on the underground utilities through there and taking shape. And recently we've been working with our design engineers and beginning the real intense conversations with the jurisdictions on the road that will go around the campus. So all that is progressing well. We look to start work on that in the spring semester.
In the spring? Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are currently on schedule, and we'll be on this site through August of 2023. Now, Wilkerson Intermediate, this is the project where we've been talking about supply chain disruptions. So the big milestone of seeing the steel did actually happen. So you can see it's erected over the top of what we've been doing. As we're working through this campus, they're installing the air conditioning equipment and all the other stuff that we can while we're doing it. The erectors are working a pretty intense schedule to get the building itself in place. The contractor's plan to get the building turned over so we can play basketball inside that gym in January seems to be working. We will be there on the site in the spring semester, wrapping up other components and making new entrances and things of that nature. But for PE purposes, in the spring semester, we look to have Wilkerson with a dedicated PE space, which will free up all kinds of things in the main campus, and we're excited about that. In the Conroe High School 9th grade classroom addition, so this is to add capacity to the Conroe High School 9th grade. So one of the other items of delay for the industry at large is polyiso insulation board, which is a critical component in our roof deck systems. You can see a big old pile of it right there in the middle of the roof deck. That's that white spot in the middle. So that material is on site. So the next big milestone for that campus is drying in. They're installing the roof deck as we currently speak, and then exterior masonry is ongoing and moving along well. So that project is on schedule and is scheduled to be used for our students in August of 2022 when they return from the summer break. And that is our update.
Well, that's nice to hear that everything's on schedule. I know that there's been difficulties with supply chain and stuff, so kudos to you and our contractors for making things happen and getting creative.
Well, I've got a team working with me that pushes hard, so we're going to do our best and not bring you any bad news if we can help it.
We appreciate it.
And it's good. It's a good thing that they're on time. As I
And on
mentioned,
budget.
this year we are year to date, from last year to today, we have over 3,300 more students today than we did on this day last year. So we need those buildings to
Yes.
be on time and be built. So thank you, Mr. Foster.
Thank you.
Very good. All right, moving on to item 8A, consider award of RFQ 21-09-01, furniture for JET Teacher Training Center.
All right. Mr. Rick Reeves.
Mr. Reeves.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. Tonight, we are requesting that the board awards RFQ number 21-09-01, furniture for JET Teacher Training Center to Velocity Business Products and Educators Depot for an estimated expenditure not to exceed $905,000. The request for quotes pertaining to the furniture for the JET Teacher Training Center for the district was emailed to registered purchasing cooperative awarded vendors through our electronic e-bidding system. The vendors were asked to provide turnkey pricing for furniture, including delivery and installation in the new building. We had 5 vendors submit a response. Due to the unusually longer than normal lead times on certain items, and we had some price increases over the last month, we are currently reassessing and looking at some additional options. At this time, this not to exceed amount is requested so that the board approves the purchase of the furniture So in order for us to be able to proceed with the purchase order once final selections are determined. We're confident that that final number will be well below this actual amount. These proposals are being evaluated by the CISD Teaching and Learning Department, the Communications Department, and reviewed by the Purchasing Department. Funds are provided in the Capital Projects Fund, and at this time, we request your approval for this not to exceed amount.
Okay,
So moved.
we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All right, any conversation?
Yeah,
Questions?
I had a question, just to confirm my understanding. So, what you're asking for is a not to exceed amount. And that is, so you're ready to go with the PO when you select a
Correct.
supplier?
They won't hold pricing
Yeah.
and give us a
Okay.
definite on lead times until they actually receive a purchase order. We expect to finish up the final selections by the end of this month. So once we put that final selection, we get that out and have definite, then we'll know exactly what we're looking at as far as lead times.
Cool. And then the not to exceed amount, how was that calculated?
That was our budget that we had.
Budget,
yes.
okay.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor with the uplifted hand? Any opposed by the same sign? And abstentions? Very good, motion passes.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Moving on to item 9A, consider approval of an order authorizing the issuance, sale, and delivery of Conroe Independent School District. Item A, I mean, it's a mouthful.
All those things.
I'll repeat that just
Yeah,
in a
Mr.
second.
Please
Rice.
do, I know you will.
So, good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Knoll. Tonight, I'm recommending the Board of Trustees approve the order authorizing the issuance, sale, and delivery of Conroe Independent School District Unlimited Tax School Building Bonds, Series 2022, setting certain parameters for the bonds, authorizing the superintendent and chief financial officer to approve the terms thereof, levying a tax, and providing for the security and payment of such bonds, and enacting other provisions related thereto. The parameter order for the sale of Conroe Independent School District Unlimited Tax Bonds, as prepared by ORIC LLP, the district's bond counsel, and Mr. Mark Estes is here this evening to answer any legal questions that we might have. The appropriate new issue amount is $177 million from the 2019 bond referendum. And I would like to point out this sale will not affect our tax rate. Our tax rate and the debt service side will remain the same. The bond sale will provide funds for building a new elementary in the Grand Oaks feeder zone, continued construction of the new junior high school in Caney Creek feeder zone, renovations and additions to Conroe High School, Oak Ridge High School, Caney Creek High School, Collins Intermediate, Creighton Elementary, Gladys Elementary, Giesinger Elementary, lots of safety and security projects, and technology and buses. And also, we will begin the design phase for the new elementary school in the Caney Creek feeder zone. At this time, Mr. Roebuck is here this evening, and Mr. Roebuck is the district's financial advisor, and he is here to present the scheduled events for the sale of the Series 2022 bonds.
Mr. Rice. President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Knoll, good evening. On the board, we have a presentation, scheduled events presentation, and on the first page of the presentation, this is the bond buyer index. This is the current market review of the municipal bond market. I like to always show this so you kind of know where the market is before we go sell bonds. On the far right, you'll see the current rates at 2.10. That is 8 basis points off all-time lows. Now, since this comes out just every Thursday, since the Thursday, we've had 2 days where the market's moved up a little bit, but we're still well below historical averages and just a little bit off of historical lows. So we're in a great place where we can sell bonds, and with your credit ratings, high, they're AA1, AA plus credit rating, we'll get a good rate in the market when we sell bonds. For the debt service side, this is the proposed debt issuance. Now, these are based on current market rates, so this will fluctuate. We're looking to sell about $152.1 million in bonds to generate $177 million in proceeds, and that will fluctuate based on the premium that's generated, based on the coupons and yields that's generated at the time of sale. And then estimated interest there in the middle, and the total for the 2022 unlimited tax school building bonds there, and the second to the right column, and the total debt service requirements of the districts there on the far right. To accomplish this, we have a tentative schedule of events. First date on there is a draft official statement. Here this is the copy of it. This is what goes to investors. We'll finish this up with Darren and his team and get this to the market for investors to look at. And then we've already done the PSF guarantee application. And tonight we're here to ask you to approve the parameter order to allow us to move forward the sale with a not to exceed of $200 million in bonds. And then we'll continue working the draft POS, and then have rating agency calls, and then sell the bonds the week of January 10th, and then close Tuesday, February 8th, at which point the district will receive the funds for the projects that Mr. Rice discussed earlier.
So move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second. Oh, sorry.
We have a second. All right. Discussion, questions,
Can you
comments?
go back one page to the schedule of the bonds to be sold? So we're going to sell between 1 year and 25 years?
Yes, sir.
Is that my
That's
understanding?
correct.
And we're straddling them throughout those dates? And so, okay. Do those have any calls in them?
10-year call, standard
10-year
10-year call. Yes, sir.
10-year, okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? This is part of the bond that the people voted on, and we're just fulfilling what the bond calls for, so.
At a low rate.
Yeah, at a great low rate. Okay, very good. I'll call the vote. All those in favor, show by that lifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Any abstentions? Very good. Passes.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
All right, item B, consider approval of the amendment of the 2021-2022 substitute teacher pay.
All right, Mr. Rice, once again.
Yes, and I am recommending the Board of Trustees approve the amended 2021-2022 substitute teacher pay scale. The substitute teacher job fill rate has been below 69% for most of the school year. On average, only 16% of our over 1,500 eligible subs has worked this school year. When enough substitutes are not available, absences are covered by other employees and administrators that are having to take on their additional regular tasks. A substitute shortage also impacts the ability of teachers and staff to participate in specialized professional learning, ARDS, and conference periods that occur during the school hours. The district believes that by increasing the substitute daily pay rate, we will be able to provide needed coverage when teachers are absent. We're recommending an increase to the substitute teacher pay rate of $10 per day. And this will have an estimated overall increase of this year's budget of $300,000. And we feel that we'll be able to cover this cost within our current budget. Our current CISD sub rate on the short term is for degreed of $95, and that will increase to $105. Degreed certified is currently $105. That will increase to $115. And then our long-term rates for degreed, $120, will increase to $130, and degreed certified from $130 to $140. This employee group is critical to the campus's ability to cover classrooms and to provide the best educational outcomes to our students. This recommended pay increase, like I said, will be covered within our current budget. And these changes will be effective in the pay period beginning January 2nd, 2022. And now that we're just talking about employee compensation, I would like to bring up, as you remember in the budget, the board did approve a potential retention stipend in February. Well, I'm happy to say that for all qualifying employees, we are scheduled to pay the retention stipend that the board approved. We're very comfortable with the budget. As you heard Dr. Knoll talk about, we're well over what we were anticipating as far as enrollment in ADA, so we feel very good about the position of our budget. This retention stipend will be $1,000 for all full-time employees and $500 for all part-time employees. And this retention stipend will come at a critical time in the school year and help retain employees, boost job satisfaction and productivity. At this time, I recommend your approval of the amended substitute teacher pay rate.
Okay.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any conversation?
Yeah, I had a question.
Mr. Sanders?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, just, two questions. On, the pay rate, the 300,000 impact, is that assuming like 100% fill rate, or how did you calculate the 300,000?
We actually went back to a year when we had pre-COVID, so we could tell, how many sub days we had, and we were able to calculate what that fill rate would be and what that would cost the budget.
Okay. And on the stipend, when will that be paid?
February 1st paycheck.
February 1st? Okay. Why so far away? That's what we approved.
We did one in October, and
Yeah.
the point of February is, as a retention stipend, it's to make sure that we all come back from the winter break and go back to work. So
true.
we need to
Right.
make sure that we all returned in January, and then we'll pay it out in February.
All right, understood. Thank you.
Mr. Sanders?
I was just going to comment, there was an article recently in the Wall Street Journal that spoke directly to a shortage, national shortage of substitute teachers throughout the country. And I guess y'all have done some analysis. Can you kind of tell me market-wise where that puts our district compared to some of the other relative districts around us?
Yeah, in the board item, I'm sorry we don't have the chart to put on the board, but it will put us in a very competitive place compared to our surrounding districts with our rates. We will be on the upper end of that. And HR has been working diligently and very hard to hire additional substitutes. They've actually put on 591 substitutes since the beginning of the year. It's just once they come on board is to actually have a pay and get them to come to the classroom. And so we think making this more attractive to them to show up in the classroom.
Our typical percentage of our subs working on any given day might range from 16% to 20%. And that doesn't mean that they're all not choosing to work. Some, are students that are in school and they only can work on a Friday, or that, there's a variety of reasons why they may not work, but that's a small percentage. If we just up that by a couple percentage points, that makes a really big impact for our teachers in our schools.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal too, is because when there's no substitute, the kids still come, and so now a teacher who had an off hour does not get that off hour. Now they have to fill that, and so.
I really think, as Mr. Rice mentioned, this is not only an investment in our substitute teachers, because it does provide more pay to them. It's really an investment in all of our staff in our buildings, because if we have, adequate substitutes, then it does free them up, our regular staff up, to do their jobs and not be asked to do other people's jobs and then, not be able to cover their normal duties, so.
Yeah, that's something I have been watching on a daily basis, is not just the attendance, but I've been watching our teachers and how often our teachers are showing up, and then the sub fill. And I have noticed all year long our sub fill has been lower than it has been over the last couple of years. I know there's several reasons why, but hopefully this will give them the incentive to pick our district to come fill our needed classes, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just one last question. Is the reason why it's covered within budget because the fill rate has been so low? And
That
so
is a
you're
large
running
portion of it.
short?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
what I figured. But thank you for confirming that.
Okay. We'll call the vote. All those in favor, show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Rice.
Thank you all for that.
Yes. All right, and then last item under this is C, receive financial report.
All right, Ms. Garza.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. It is my pleasure this evening to present the financial statements for the month ended October 31st. Our first statement this evening is the balance sheet. Presented here is the general fund, the debt service fund, child nutrition, and self-funded insurance. Our next statement is the income statement. The income statement shows the district's revenue and expenditures. In the general fund, our year-to-date revenue is $96.5 million. We should see some movement next month in our local and intermediate sources, as tax statements did go out last month, so tax collections should start coming in this month. Total expenditures in the general fund are just over $51 million for the year. It's our 2019 bond referendum update. Total funds expended and encumbered year-to-date, just over $276 million. Remaining $375.3 million, and bonds remaining to sell is $311.5 million. It's our self-funded insurance. We have a little bit better news to report for the month of October. Total revenue of just over $4.5 million. Total expenses 4.4 for a net gain of the month of just over $104,000. We are at a net loss for the year of just over $652,000. Participation at our wellness centers is averaging $359 so far year-to-date. Our investments as of October 31st, par value just over $471 million, or close to $472. Our pools are yielding just over 6 basis points. Our longer-term investments with TCG have a WAM of 501 days, yielding 0.876%, and then our combined portfolio has a WAM of 58 days, yielding just over 17 basis points. Our benchmark is the 90-day T-bill at 0.058.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. Appreciate that. All All right, moving on to item 9A, discuss HB 3979 and SB 3. 10, thank you. Item 10. And I'm going to turn the time over. This is something that Mr. Inman had called, and I just want to make a quick remark because in our public meeting comments, we said we would hold our remarks to now. First off, many times we have people come to the board meeting and say what they're going to say, which is great, and then leave. I appreciate everybody hanging around for the discussion about to be had. And also, Representative Toth and I consider us friends. I don't consider us at enemies or at each other's throat. I believe we have a good relationship working together, and I just wanted that to certainly be known that we've had meetings and they've been very productive and great, and appreciate you as a representative to stick up and just serve this great state of Texas as well. So
I appreciate you, Mr. President. And,
I'll turn the time over to Mr.
Oh, I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Again, I'd like to just piggyback on what President Hubert just said. Thank you so much for staying. Obviously, this is very near and dear to a lot of people. I want to thank you no matter what side of the discussion you're on or perspective. Thanks for staying, and we're very fortunate to have the Honorable Steve Toth with us tonight, State Representative from District 15, who authored the HB 3979 and is going to share with us the not only the letter of the law that we've read, but also the spirit and the goal we're trying to accomplish here, as well as, I guess, some information about SB 3. Is that correct, Mr. Toth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Mr. President, if I may.
Yes, sir.
This board, Dr. Knoll and his leadership team has spent an extensive amount of time dispelling myths related to this matter. In response, Mr. President, you, along with Dr. Knoll, have made a part of public record that this matter is not a part of our curriculum in Conroe ISD. For added assurance, the board has also hosted an extremely informative public workshop to address what is taught in our school's curriculum, which is in alignment with the State Board of Education. I do not feel that there is any further value in entertaining additional discussions concerning this matter. Thereby, I move that we end discussion on item 10A and continue to item 10B on the posted agenda.
We have a motion. Is there a second? There is no second, so the.
second.
Oh, we have a second. Okay.
For discussion? Mhm.
Yes, we have open for discussion. Any other discussion?
As I mentioned before, we've had all the discussion that needs to be had relative to this topic. As I mentioned before, I believe we've had all discussion needed to be had. I believe there's appropriate time for this in public comment. I don't see adding value to a bill that's definitely not bipartisan into a nonpartisan school district where we've expressed multiple times that this is not relevant relative to the curriculum that's being taught in CISD. Makes sense other than polarizing the issue even more so.
Okay.
And if we are going to have that discussion, we should be ready to receive comments or questions concerning House Bill 3, House Bill 3979 as well as Senate Bill 3.
Okay. Any other?
I guess my only point on this would be is I understand that House Bill 3979 is superseded by SB 3 as of December 2nd.
Okay.
So I just want maybe that in context to whatever conversation we're going to have on something that is effectively superseded in a couple weeks. So just put that out there for everyone.
Okay. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay.
Ms. Chase's point is taken, but HB 3979 was the basis for SB 3 and built upon it after HB 39. So Representative Toth was the original author of 3979 and
Agreed.
Co-author of SB 3, or at least a sponsor.
Correct.
So I think, it is law. SB 3 is law.
Yeah.
So I think hearing from somebody who was deeply involved in the drafting of that law might be beneficial. As we said, there's been a lot of misinformation about it, and if we get the opportunity to actually examine this in open forum and ask one of the authors questions, I think that'd be beneficial to to get us all on the same page. And
Yeah, I think it would be good in the discussion too, if we could make it clear, like, what is SB 3 and what is HB 3979, if there is a point of difference between them. That would be my ask. Yeah.
The bill, one point of clarification, the bill itself says that you're presenting public policy. When the teacher is presenting public policy, without presenting a diverse and contending perspective, it is in violation of this legislation. So this legislation, without a doubt, is controversial. So I suppose we will be presenting a diverse and contending perspective as well.
Well, what I want to call a point of order is what we're discussing is if we want to strike and move on to the next item.
Exactly.
Not exactly what the bill
Understood.
entails. I just want to.
I'm saying in general, the mere fact we would entertain having a discussion is in contradiction of the bill itself, because we don't have someone here to present a diverse and contending perspective. That's what I'm saying.
Mr. President, I have to call the question.
Call it. Okay. So we'll close the discussion and then have a vote. All those
Yep.
in favor of striking, all of those in favor of the motion of moving on to item B, show by the uplifted hand. All those opposed by the same sign. Any abstentions? All right, we will continue with item A. Continue, Mr. Inman.
Thank you very much, Representative Toth, for being here tonight. I believe it'll be a valuable discussion. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. And to your point, we will. We'll look at both sides of this, and we'll take a look at 3 and 379 to your satisfaction, I hope. Okay, thank you. So, Mr. President and members of the board, and Dr. Null, it's good to be with you. I'm thrilled to be back from the never-ending legislative session that we had this past summer. And as elected public servants, this has been an issue that has been a huge controversy across the United States, as well as all over Texas. And I'm sure that you've received some calls from parents. Based on some of the testimony tonight, I have been getting those calls from all over the state of Texas. The primary concern was critical race theory was being taught in Texas schools. In response, I filed and passed House Bill 3979. Initially, we thought this was an issue that would come up in social studies classes, and at one time that may have been the case where critical race theory as an educational theory was limited to social studies, but today it's not. Critical race theory is a political, economic, and societal theory. Its genesis is from critical theory, which came out of the Hamburg School in 1937. Critical theory is Marxist, and it separates people into two categories, the oppressed and the oppressors. Marx sold the idea of a conflict between the bourgeois, in other words, the haves, and the proletariats, the have-nots. Ultimately, for Marxists, after World War II, there was an emergence of the middle class in Western democracies around the world. And as a result, working middle-class people did not see the need to rise up in rebellion against upper, higher-class, wealthier people. Unfortunately, for us, the indoctrination of race into critical race theory thus became critical race theory, where the intersectionality of race and the law demands that race plays a role in every advent of both civil and criminal law. It's been said that critical race theory is taught at the collegiate level. That has been discussed here tonight by some of the testimony, and they're correct. At the collegiate level, it is taught, and it's debated as theory. However, the basis of, and the premise of critical race theory, the tenets in the foundation, it has found its way into public schools across the United States as well as Texas. There are oppressors and there is the oppressed based solely on the color of your skin. And that is being introduced into classrooms around the state of Texas at K through 12 levels. In social media, there is an acronym, POTS, Parents Over the Shoulder. And because of COVID, 2020 saw a massive explosion in virtual learning where parents first learned of critical race theory. Headline-grabbing events around critical race theory in 2021 was Carroll Independent School District, where 2 board members were arrested for violating the Texas Open Meetings Act as they were conspiring to bring critical race theory into Carroll ISD. Around that same time, parents at Highland Park found a book by the name of Not My Idea. It's this book right here. not my idea, book about whiteness, was found in Highland Park. Read to fifth graders. Think about the title, A Book About Whiteness. A book actually has a white devil nuanced as the bad guy in the book. There are countless examples of where classrooms are being used to push a divisive political agenda. And that's why we suddenly started hearing about CRT and everything from English literature classes to math classes for word problems. And as a result, we came back in the second special legislative session and expanded the prohibition against promoting racial superiority and scapegoats in all subjects. Now, the TEA draft, and that's what I want to talk to you about tonight. The TEA draft is not complete.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yes, sir.
It sounded more like my speech more so, that was discussion. So my question would be, with all due respect, where do you address CRT in this legislation? It's not addressed. I didn't see it addressed one place.
You don't see the word critical race theory in this, do you?
I don't see where how you're defining it, how it's being addressed. Say, for instance, if you go to section 4.4, it says teachers, and my...
What page are you
my
on?
original question is...
Mr. Williams, what page are you on?
Well, let me back up. My original question is, how do you propose, what consequence should a teacher be found guilty of violating this law?
Can I walk you through this before? I'd like to break out the difference, and I'm just getting into the side-by-side, which is what you initially asked of me, and I'd like to discuss 3979 and SB3. And then we can talk about that if you'd like.
Well, I still have some questions. Say, for instance, you talk about CRT. I wanted to discuss specifically.
Sure.
It says teachers may not make a part of course inculcation the concept that an individual by virtue of individual's race, sex, bears responsibility for actions committed in the past by other members of that same sex or race.
Yes, sir.
I don't have to understand that.
Well, let me take you through it. That's what I'm getting into right now, and I'll share that with you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so this is the TEA draft guidance that you guys are going to get in about 3 weeks. It's still a working document, and so I didn't want to hand it out to you because it's still fluid, but this is where we're at so far. The first part of it, this is page 6, lines 15 through 20, and you've got this document right here. This is SB3. Both sides. A common misconception that you may have heard about this in the media that we worked to make really clear in SB3, and actually we met on the House floor with several Democrats to make this more crystal clear, because there was, some folks felt that there was some ambiguity in 3979. We worked with the Democrats and took an amendment to bring clarity to this. And what it basically states is that historical events, I'm sorry, the first common misconception is that you've heard from the media is that we made clear in SB3 is that historical events needed to be discussed from both sides. And that is absolutely not true. There are not two sides to the Holocaust. There are not two sides to slavery. There's not a contending side to some of the evils of our past. There aren't two sides to Jim Crow. There's not a contending side to that. Can we all agree that that was evil? We can, right? So we're not asking teachers to give an alternate perspective on the evils of slavery, Jim Crow, or Adolf Hitler, or the Nazis. It's part of the historical record. It's not debated. We have, in fact, asked teachers to make sure that when they discuss current events, that they do that from a diverse standpoint and without adding any kind of political or theory to it.
So
That
this current
we leave
event,
that to
if
parents.
this current event, just make sure I'm clear, if it's current event, you have to present contending side.
Correct. Correct, and that's only current events. And in fact, if you
Okay.
read through the whole bill, 3979 and SB3, it talks about the failures of our past. It talks about the fact that slavery in our past.
I think we're going back too far, though.
Okay,
So say, for instance, we wanted to discuss the George Floyd event.
sure.
help me understand a diverse and contending perspective
You bet.
as a teacher?
Let's look at that.
No,
So-
give us sort of, how would a teacher do that?
Okay, let's take a look at that. How would we look at George Floyd objectively and see if there's another way to look at that? I gave you guys this Wikipedia sheet right here. If you'll take a look at that.
Specific page?
It's just this one sheet right here, and this is printed off of Wikipedia.
Okay.
And it goes into major case of positional asphyxia related to deaths in police custody. And it says 3 prominent cases of in-custody deaths involve African-American men, David Smith, Eric Garner, and George Floyd. Correct?
Yes.
Do you see that?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay, but it's actually missing an individual. And that individual's name is Tony Timpa. In 2016, Mr. Timpa was put down on the ground and handcuffed. For 14 minutes, Mr. Timpa pleaded for his life as an officer knelt on his back, keeping him from being able to breathe. For 14 minutes, he pleaded with 3 white Dallas police officers to let him up. His death was ruled a homicide as officers handcuffed him and rolled him onto his stomach, where he ended up dying. Why? By the way, not a single officer was ever convicted of Mr. Timpa's death either. Dallas County DA dismissed the charges. Mr. Timpa, like Mr. Floyd, had a lethal dose of fentanyl in his system. Mr. Timpa had cocaine in his system. Mr. Timpa, like Mr. Floyd, had a knee in his back and neck, and like Mr. Floyd, was rolled over onto his stomach. Today, officers are taught that this causes a fatal physical response known as positional asphyxiation. It's wrong for the mainstream media to suggest that Mr. Floyd's death was the result of racial animus any more than it would be to suggest that mainstream media failed to report Mr. Timpa's death because he was white.
Can you do that with James Byrd as well? Same concept, diverse contending perspective. James Byrd.
This is a conversation.
No, it's discussion. This is not
Mr.
here.
Toth.
Everything's history. Anything that happened prior to this moment is history. So James Byrd.
Let me take you through the rest of my notes, and then if you want to come back to James Byrd, we can do that.
Oh, just so I'm clear for this specific example. So your guidance to a teacher when talking about George Floyd is not to not discuss it, but to also mention the case of Tony Timpa.
I'm sorry, someone coughed while you said that last word. I apologize.
Just a lot, okay. So your guidance to teachers would be not to avoid talking about George Floyd or death while in police custody or whatever that. It's to make sure that they would also discuss Tony Timpa for this specific example.
Exactly. The gentleman that, as an example too, the gentleman that died in New York City for selling, and I can't think of his name.
Eric Garner.
Yeah, he was selling cigarettes by ones and twos, right? That was not handled well. And it was to the, I mean, if you talk to any cop about how they feel about the deaths of those guys, they're more angry about it than most of you are because it's an embarrassment to their profession. And the death of George Floyd speaks more to the issue, not of racial animus, but of the fact that maybe, just maybe, we're not doing a good job at training police officers. Maybe, just maybe, we're not doing a good job at figuring out what kind of temperament a cop should have. And that's not something that I brought forward. This is something that police officers are saying around the United States that they're frustrated with, they're embarrassed over.
So the
Yes, sir.
diverse and contending perspective, James Byrd, how did the teachers present that?
You know, if you and I want to sit down and look at the whole story and see if there is another side and what that is with James Byrd, I'd be happy to do that. I'm just not going to do it right now with you.
Understood. So back to my original question. He says, section 4, it says, teachers may not make a part of a course inculcation the concept that an individual, by virtue of individual's race, bears responsibilities for actions committed in the past by other members of the same race or sex.
Yes, sir.
Hypothetically, if my parents rob a bank and they died some years later, understanding that I didn't rob the bank, I'm not responsible for that. Should I keep the money? And my next question is, if I keep the money, should I be exonerated from any associated guilt or acknowledgement of the event?
It's a nice metaphor, but at the end of the day, stolen property is still the property of the person it was stolen from. So, let me give you an example. My grandfather came here in 1910 from Budapest, Hungary. He came here because he was beaten mercilessly for not joining the Catholic Church in Budapest, Hungary. Should I be bitter and angry at Catholic people because my grandfather died from beatings that he sustained?
Not at all. Shouldn't be responsible for that, but you should acknowledge it. And you shouldn't be exonerated, and whomever folks that committed those atrocities shouldn't be exonerated from the guilt. Nor
So,
if you
but do
benefit,
we hold anger and animus towards Catholics for that?
If you benefited
Do
from
I- is that
something of
what I
that
should do?
extent, you should be willing to acknowledge it and understand how the other side, their perspective is on that.
Can I ask a real quick question?
Sure. Absolutely.
To Mr. Williams, just
Go ahead.
for clarification.
Yeah, please.
I think you're referencing a different document than what Representative Toth and the rest of us are looking at.
Well, let's see. So,
Are you referencing HB 3979?
well, that's page 3, 6.6. 6.6.
What I did was I gave you SB 3, which is the changes to 3979.
3979 was rescinded and replaced with SB 3.
I read what I had on my document. So this document doesn't reference that, because I saw it in here.
This is what I gave you guys, SB 3, which is, it's 3979 with the changes.
Do you,
I think it's.
Yes, ma'am.
7. Look on the bottom.
you said, SB3 made,
It's
or
right
which
here.
all,
Okay. I just want to make sure we're referencing the
It's
same
right here,
document.
page, it's right there.
Yeah, just make sure we're referencing the same document and we're on.
what you hope to do with SB3 is make clear, this topic about current controversial issue.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Because it's caused some confusion, right?
Correct.
And so, is it defined in here, like what is current, or, I mean,
Is there a time frame on currency?
yeah, how does
I know
the
that sounds
teacher?
silly, but
I mean,
So
ultimately, we want to comply.
for the TEKS as an example, the TEKS is going to ask for discussion around current events. And so I'm going to defer to the TEKS, and if you would like, that's a good question. I'll put that before the Texas Education Agency if we can get some guidance on that. Would you like that?
Yeah.
absolutely, because I think our teachers will need to know what that boundary is.
Yes, yes.
I would hate for them to go back 5 years and,
I don't think anyone's going to look at something from 5 years back and,
but they
that's-
may if it's not written. If it's
Right.
not written for them, if they
Yeah.
don't have clear guidelines.
Well,
Right.
Not just that, we need that to be able to enforce a policy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
We'll absolutely ask that the TEA gives us some guidance on that. You bet.
They should already have the guidance for the TEKS written. I mean, the social studies TEKS were recently redone, but
Right.
they should have the document, the guidance document prepared, so.
Yeah.
It says on page 8, subsection 8, with respect to their relationship to American values, slavery and racism, or anything other than
What-
deviation.
I'm sorry, what, are you on?
I'm on the brand new one you just got.
I know,
right
I'm
up-
sorry, you said page 8.
Sub 8,
line item. Oh.
What
10?
line?
Line 10.
line 10.
Line 10.
With
Line
respect
10?
to the
Okay.
relationship to American values, slavery and racism, or anything other than deviations from, betrayals of, or failures to live up to the authentic founding principles of the United States, which included liberty and equality.
Yes, sir.
And that's what we're supposed to,
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed with their Creator, with certain inalienable rights, that among them is life and liberty. And what this is basically saying, very clearly, is that we failed to live up to those values stated in the Declaration as well as the Constitution.
it says that was the authentic founding principle. So what I'm saying is you had 400 years of failure to live up to authentic founding principles. right, of the authentic founding principles, or are we
Well, we're not-
saying?
Second. I
I'm
don't want to
speaking.
cut you off. What I want to do is make sure that this conversation is between Mr. Toth and the board.
Correct.
With all due
You have
respect,
the mic, let's have the discussion.
With all
We
due
open this
respect-
up for discussion, let's have it.
what I'm saying is I don't want the gallery to interrupt
appreciate
you
that.
or intimidate by having any kind of comments. They've had their
Amen.
opportunity.
Yep.
And this is a conversation, this is an open and free conversation that we're having.
Yes,
You're
sir.
welcome to stay, but your comments are not welcome.
And by the
Please.
way, as it's been defined, I'm totally against CRT, but I'm also, this piece of legislation is very incoherent, and I think it's a waste of paper. So I'll get back to my point, no offense to you, but it
all
is
right.
what it is. It says, the authentic founding principles of the United States. So back to my original comment. So America had over 400 years of failure to live up to the authentic founding principles of the United States, of the Constitution. My question to you is, was it that the founding principles were never authentic? Because this makes no sense to me, because did you know that 8 of the first 12 presidents were slave owners? So we're by definition teaching our kids, okay, all of these former, 8 of the first presidents were slave owners. We're teaching all of our kids that all of these presidents, these founding fathers that came up and drafted this, they were, by all accounts, deviating from and betrayed or failed to live up to the authentic founding principles of the United States. That's what we're saying?
I'm at a miss because I'm admitting in this document, in this law, admits the failure of our past. Do you not want us to put that? When have you seen a bill where someone has come forward and said, this is a failure of the past?
It didn't say that.
It does. It says we failed to live up to our initial
But
founding
you say-
documents.
But you say that the authentic founding principles of the United States included liberty and equality. For who? That's not the authentic founding principles of the United States. It's not authentic. It can't be authentic.
And we
If the
can-
people who
we're
were by definition drafted it were in contradiction of it.
That's not correct. And if you look at the founding document, if you look at the Declaration of Independence, and you look at the footnotes between Benjamin Franklin and different founders that did not own slaves, they push for within the Declaration of Independence for it to make sure that slaves were set free. Unfortunately, one of the things that was agreed upon up front was that among all the signers of the Declaration, they had to have unanimity so that the southern states would not cut a deal with England. That was the problem. They were afraid that the southern states would cut a deal with England and leave slavery intact, and it would leave the northern states and the southern states separated. They compromised.
So 8 of the first 12 presidents also followed suit. Failure to live up to, based on this document, they all deviated from and betrayed or failed to live up to the authentic founding principles of the United States.
Slavery was a failure
Okay.
to live up to our founding principles. You bet
That's
it
what we're
was.
saying, that's
It
what we're
was
saying.
awful.
But by
It was evil.
definition, that's what we're saying. And we should teach that. Is that what we're saying?
Slavery was evil, it was awful.
Excuse me. Can we start from line 15 and continue through the presentation as highlighted?
On page 8,
6, you started.
We can
started
up
at
until the point
page
that I
6.
have questions.
Page 15,
Absolutely.
line 15, page 6, was that the portion of the presentation you were going through?
What?
On
Teresa, I
for
apologize.
SB3, the highlighted portion, was that the part of the presentation that you were going through?
you're saying page 15?
No, it's page 6, line 15, highlighted portion. Is that your
Yes.
presentation?
Yeah, I was about to move on to the next
Okay.
part of it.
Oh,
but
perfect. Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. So the next part is extra credit, line 6.
No,
on
I'm
page-
gonna interject
Sure, yes, sir.
as I need be. I'm not gonna be deterred from doing that. But go ahead, Senator Toth. I was having a sidebar, so I
go ahead.
apologize.
Please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought
No,
you
I
had a
just
question.
wanted to make
ahead,
sure we were okay to move forward
Yes,
if you had
sir.
something else, but
You bet.
we'll go ahead.
So, extra credit, page 6, line 21 through page 7, line 11. As the state of Texas, we in a policy that parents should be the ones introducing their children's political activism and not school systems. This is why in the next section, the law says that you can't incentivize political activism with extra credit. We want to keep the focus of our schools on academic rigor. We clarified that this never applied to students participating in charitable projects, volunteering, whether that's 4-H or food bank or any other service projects.
Yeah, I think this part, for me, was confusing, reading HB 3979, because, I mean, the kids that are in school, right, are future leaders for Texas, right? And we
Right.
want them to be engaged in their community and to know what's happening in their community and, you know, to be active. And I know there was another school district, McKinney, that recently had like a credit for student government or something like that.
Correct, and that was not correct. Their attorney looked at that completely wrong.
Okay.
And the TEA has told them that they looked at that completely wrong.
Okay, so that, what they did was not your intention or the intention
It has
of
nothing to
this?
do with this bill, yeah,
Okay.
correct.
And this bill would not stop students from engaging in a Young Republicans Club, a Young
Yeah.
Democrats Club. It would just prevent them from getting extra credit for doing those types of things. Is that
And
correct?
here's the question is parents, activism should flow from the home and your worldview. I don't want my children, grandchildren involved in something with Planned Parenthood. Some of you may not want your kids to be involved in Gun Owners of America or you know, the NRA. You may not like that. Let's let that flow from parents, and let's keep academic rigor as the focus of the schools.
And so there's no penalty because,
No.
at a school, in order to have a club, a teacher needs to be a sponsor of
Correct.
that club. And so there's no penalty to that teacher for being a sponsor of, let's say, the Young Republican Club or there's the, what is it, trying to think, well, there's multiple clubs that students can form as long as there's 10 of them.
This bill doesn't speak to any of that,
Even if it's political.
even if it's political.
Okay, as long as the sponsor is just quiet, the sponsor can't participate, is basically what this is.
And it doesn't speak to a teaching sponsor being involved in a club. This is purely talking about extra credit.
Just for credit. Okay.
And so just to be clear, like a youth in government class, credit for that would be fine.
Correct.
Okay.
What we don't want a situation where we're using our kids to become lobbyists for an issue, whether it's.
Is that really
Whether it's-
happening? I mean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, guys, like.
No, guys, seriously, please.
Exactly.
So yes, it is. So as a state legislator, we have kids that come in and lobby us from school districts during session.
That get school credit.
Right, they get school credits, correct.
One of our peer districts in the area bussed students to a polling place on election day without parental notice.
Another district.
Another district, not us.
Yeah, not us.
So yes, it does happen in the state of Texas.
All right, okay.
You had in the original, did you take this out? It says a teacher, administrator, as teacher, administrator, or employee of a state agency may not require or make a part of course inculcation in the concept that the individual should feel discomfort, anguish, or any form of psychological distress on the account of race. Is that still in the new one?
It speaks to it. So this is racial superiority. This is page 7. It's lines 12 through 18. We clarified the heart of this law, which states that school employees may not make part of a course inculcation that one race or one sex is inherently superior to another. Sounds a lot like the 1964 Civil Rights Act. We specifically use the word inculcate, which means to implement or instill an idea into
Understand.
someone. This was carefully chosen to clarify that teachers were free to talk about slavery, genocide, since they're involved, one group of people declaring racial superiority over another.
I'm sorry, so you took that out in this one, it looks like, because the original House bill. It was
No,
in
it's
there.
actually page 7, lines
sorry,
12 through
I'm
18.
going back
And
and
racial,
forth
I'm
from
sorry,
my-
racial scapegoating is line 19.
Where is it, 19?
Yeah, page 7, line 19 through page 8, line 3. The law specifically prohibits the concept that an individual is inherently racist or oppressive because of their race would bear responsibility, blame, or guilt by actions committed by other persons of the same race.
Okay.
So, let me ask you,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Toth, I think a relevant question of what may happen tomorrow. So kids walk into school and teachers want to have a conversation about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial that's currently going on right now. How do you see that within the text of what you're writing? How do you believe that that conversation should be had in a classroom, if it should be had at all?
First off, the idea first is that teachers aren't forced to have that discussion unless they're willing to have that discussion in a fair and balanced kind of way. Kyle Rittenhouse is being called a white supremacist. Based on what? The person, one of the people that he shot was aiming a gun at him. Is that person?
Not so much to speak about guilt or not. I'm asking, because I can tell you that in some classes at the high school level, I personally believe that that conversation should come up to allow kids to develop their own ideas. So
Exactly.
my question is,
Critical thinking skills.
how would you advise a classroom, a teacher to administer that conversation?
So if you're going to have that discussion, here's what I would do. I would look at all the facts. For all intents and purposes, that community had melted down where there was no law enforcement on the streets. And buildings were being burned down. People were being beaten. People were losing their lives. In some cases, police posts were being burned to the ground. And maybe the discussion turns into, guys, what would happen in our community if that happened here? What would it look like here in the Woodlands if law enforcement failed to do its job? What would it look like if people ran the streets and took law into their own hands? Maybe that's the way you look at it, instead of looking at it with a racial animus.
Good. So, may I follow up real quick?
Go ahead, please.
Do you think that this bill for teachers, because teachers are now faced with it, they have to read this. We've had training on how to implement this, even though there's some changes coming. So, do you think that the way this is now written, that teachers will be discouraged to have that conversation? In other words, just avoid it altogether and not have that conversation at all?
I honestly would rather see a teacher avoid a subject rather than try and disparage or bring the subject purely from a racial standpoint. Why not
let me ask you
allow the
something,
kids
Bill.
to have, I apologize, so I can finish. Why not have that discussion, but think critically and force kids to think critically? And just to the point I just made. Kids, what would it look like if in the Woodlands, Rand Henderson and his officers, what would it look like if CISD police failed to come to school in the morning? What would it look like if there was lawlessness on our streets? How would you respond to that? What role would you play in that? Would you be a peacemaker? Would you be somebody that goes out there and says, I feel like it's my responsibility to help a shopkeeper make sure his building doesn't get burned down? What role would you play? And ask the kids to think critically. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's the responsibility, nor should it be the role of teachers to try and introduce a racial animus into the subject. And that's the point of this.
I understand racial divide and trying not to create it, but from a black man's perspective, and I can speak to that, 44 years of that, it seems like we want our teachers to be voluntarily ignorant that race plays a part in what goes on in the day in and day out of our society. And that's just, I just think that's a very slippery slope we begin to walk. Right? I don't want my kids to think Skeeter's kids, Mr. Huber's kids are racist, but I don't want them to come home and say Mr. Skeeter's kids are not white because we don't see race. That's not true. Because the world and society won't treat them accordingly, right? Right? And there's no sense of us being naive of the fact of who we are and how we look, right? I understand that we shouldn't bring it in the classroom to where we're making everything about race, but some things indeed are truly about race. When you drag a man behind a pickup truck, or when you lynch a little 14-year-old boy in Mississippi for whistling at a white woman, that's about race, right? And it's not to
When
cause
James Byrd was dragged behind that vehicle, that wasn't a legal incident. That was a crime. That was a crime in every sense of the word. There's not a second side of that.
Understood, but it was, you continue to avoid race. It's as if it was a dirty word.
No, I don't. Those guys did that to him because they were racist.
Okay.
They were hateful. It's demonic what those guys did.
So why can't our teachers acknowledge that? Because everything you're saying is say avoid discussions purely on race. Got it, understand that, right? Purely on race, got it.
I gave you one. I gave an example where you could look at the George Floyd thing and say, okay, we've got a problem. We've probably got a problem in the way we hire cops or the way we train cops. And if you were to bring a cop in here, they would say the same thing. My nephew told me that, who's a cop in Georgia. And he said, he said, Uncle Steve, he said, if we really believe that we need to pay teachers more money, which I agree, you want to get the best and the brightest, you got to pay. You want the best and the brightest cops, you got to pay for it. This is far too critical of an issue. And it's one more way that you can look at it and explore it. You can't look at the James Byrd thing any other way than simply stating that some racist guys dragged this guy to his death behind I don't know if it was a pickup truck or whatever it was.
But that's not what the bill says. It says you need to be able to provide
It's a historical
diverse-
event. It's a historical event.
Anything that happened prior to right now is historical.
If it's current event in the news, it would be, and it's not a
It's still in the
crime.
news to some
And you know,
folks.
that would be a
It's still
good
on
thing
some
too, is if
people's
if we took out a criminal element of it to further explain it, but there is not a second side to what happened to James Byrd.
But they have to provide one.
No, they don't. They don't. It's a crime. It's looked upon as a crime. It's capital murder. It's murder with intent. It's first-degree murder.
George Floyd was a crime, convicted,
It wasn't first-degree murder.
but it was a crime. The speeding ticket is a crime.
You can also look at it, though, just like you could with Mr. Timpa, right? Both of those men died.
it's a
Both
lot
of
of
those
words.
men died. Both of those men died. Both of them had drugs in their system. Both of them were rolled over into their stomach and died of positional asphyxiation. And that's what the coroner said.
But the jury said he's guilty. Crime.
So do you want to use that as an opportunity then? Do you want to use that as an opportunity then to disparage cops and say that all cops are racist?
I didn't do that. You just said that.
No, I'm just
I had
asking
no-
you. You know,
not
I'm
at
bringing
all.
up, this
Not at
bill's
all.
about racial animus.
And my point to that was, we cannot be voluntarily ignorant of race. And nor should we try to handcuff our teachers to do the
But
same.
you're saying,
No,
you're
I'm not
saying,
saying that.
you're
You
you're
said
saying, Mr. Williams, that race, you don't know what was in that guy's head, the cop's head. You don't know that race played a role in it.
Do we know anything? If we're gonna look at it from that perspective.
Sure we do.
No, because no one's able to
know
look
what- we
into
know what the
anyone's
evidence
head.
tells us. We
But
know
we know
what-
what his
what
actions did, and
forensic
by his
evidence tells
actions,
us.
we have to dictate what he intended to do.
Point of order, Mr. President. Can we just continue on with allowing the speaker to go through? And I appreciate, Mr. Williams, your advocacy, and I appreciate all you're doing and saying, but I feel like we need to get through this. What I want to hear about that I haven't heard yet is what our teachers can and cannot do. And I want to make sure that our district is following the law as intended. And I want to understand if there's something there that we are doing that we should not be doing, that we stop doing it. And if there isn't something that we're not doing, then we can move on and give, and we understand that this is
Yes,
still,
sir.
as you mentioned, a fluid document, and that it's not finalized yet, and it sounds like, obviously, based on this conversation, there needs to be a lot more clarity or from the TEA around what we're going to be able to do. The thing that I'm concerned about for our teachers is that I don't want to put our teachers in a situation where there is a problem.
Yes, sir.
I am also concerned for our parents, that I don't want our parents to have their child come home and tell them, Mama or Daddy, this happened or that happened, and that's a problem too.
Yes, sir.
So I wanted to hear the discussion because I want to understand, and I'm just trying to, I got work tomorrow, and I got kids, and, you know, we all have places we could
Yes, sir.
be. And I'm not saying this isn't important, because it is. And it's important for our district, it's important for our state, but I just want to kind of hear more about what we need to be doing that we're not doing, if there is that, or if there is something we're doing that we don't need to be doing, I need to hear that too.
I would recommend we do that in a workshop format if time is of the essence here.
It's a very,
If
that's
he
a good
continues
point,
to
because
have
it is
these
a very long
discussions, if he
discussion.
continues to discuss this bill, I'm gonna continue to have rebuttal. So, which I gave us an option to opt out of in the beginning of the meeting. So we had a board workshop pertaining to exactly what's being taught in our district and what our teachers can teach. We should have invited that format, Mr. Toth, for that. So if he's gonna continue to go through his dialogue about the bill, I'm gonna continue to have questions.
The other element of this is civics training. We're going to set up some civics classes for teachers. Texas will foot the bill for it. We're going to come up with the money, so you're not going to have to go outside to private organizations and look for the money or ask for the money. We've got the money. We've appropriated it for you. So we will be absolutely providing civics training for teachers. Enforcement, this is line 9 through 24. I'm sorry, page 9, line 24 through page 10, line 3. Many have asked how the law will be enforced. This is the primary reason for being here today. Subsection F, which is part of the Texas Education Code 28.0022, states the school district may take appropriate action upon involving employment of any teacher, administrator, or their employee based on the individual's compliance with state and federal laws and policies.
What does that mean?
It means that you, as the district, have the authority to take action of a teacher that's violating Texas law.
We have that now. We always have that.
I'm just simply stating that's in the bill. It's already stated. It's stated in the bill.
So we have to
You asked about
we have to hold
enforcement.
teachers accountable to this law as you prescribe, and you've authored the bill, but yet a lot of it is even ambiguous to yourself, specifically about the history aspect.
This is current law. So as you look at a Texas law, if you look at a bill in Texas, we don't do resolutions like they do it at the federal level, where you have a resolution and it may be 5,000 pages, and then it becomes law and it becomes 50,000 pages. We actually take the text of the law and we amend it. So if you're creating law right now and you look at the bill when it's in its raw form, before it's passed out of the House or the Senate, you'll see text, and then you'll see some of the text is underlined. That's new language to the law. You'll see struck text. That means you're taking language out of it. So there's struck, and then there's underlined. Underlined is new language. Struck is existing language that's coming out.
Yeah. Will there be further clarification provided on controversial, like, because how it's written, it says, any widely debated or currently controversial issue of public policy, but you had mentioned, like, this was trying to get at racial animus. So, like, there's other controversial topics that do not have like a racial element to it. Is there going to be clear definition that this is applying to controversial topics?
Yeah, so there's an element of wisdom in this that's required of the board, in that it says controversial issues. Does anybody on this board believe that? Let's bring up the James Byrd issue. Does anyone really believe that was controversial?
January 6th.
It's subjective.
I mean, that's
It's not
controversial.
subjective. Someone broke the law. They dragged the guy behind a truck and killed him. There's no controversial about it.
Someone put their
It's
knee on
illegal to do
somebody's
that to
neck
people.
for 8 minutes, 46 seconds, killed them, got found guilty. Is that controversial? You just said it was. You made it controversial. Same thing.
It's controversial if you want to say that that was racial animus that killed him.
I didn't say anything about race.
It's controversial if you want to make it about racial animus.
You can make anything controversial.
I guess you can. And it's important then to talk about it from a diverse and contending perspective, right? So that kids think critically.
No, it seems like we forced them how to think based on the bill.
I think a lot of people would think that schools are forcing kids to think a certain way now.
Well, understood.
Well, one of my, I guess, one of my questions along with the line is that the section that you just read about this district has the ability to enforce, that was line 24. Let's see here, take appropriate action involving the employment. My question is, how do you apply it? In other words, is it teacher's word against a student? I mean, we've had two scenarios here in Conroe ISD that has been brought to our attention. And whenever a teacher goes away from TEKS, which is our approved system, we handle it. Now, it is also a rule and a law that we're not allowed to talk about the disciplinary action that has been or may have been taken against a teacher. So as a school district, we do not teach the CRT curriculum, and when a teacher does go rogue or decide to do it on their own, and it is brought to our attention,
Right.
we investigate, take care of it, and there is some type of disciplinary action that has been taken care of. But we can only handle those that are actually brought to us. I'm not so naive to say that it doesn't ever happen. We got 8,800 teachers, and for the
Correct.
most part, and I will say this, I trust our teachers, and I'm speaking in general. Our teachers work really hard to bring the right curriculum to them. And what I see is, with this being coming in, and it seems like it's ambiguous on, is this controversial, is it not, and how do we apply it? I'd like for that to be cleaned up as well, because we want to support our teachers.
yeah, it
Our
does,
teachers
but it
have a
does
good
use-
heart. Our
Right.
teachers have a good heart, and they have good intentions.
It does
right?
say
And I
what-
don't want to crush their ability to go out and do what they've been trained to do.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm saying all this, and I want to reiterate, I do not want the critical race theory being taught this way as well. I've made that statement from the board. I've said it many times. I sit here the last couple of meetings with my head down as I hear people accusing me of supporting CRT. Drives me up the wall, but I'm man enough to sit here and take it, even though they have no idea what they're saying.
I know, and you
No
and I,
clue.
Skeeter, you and I have sat down and talked about this over
Absolutely.
coffee, haven't we?
Right, we have.
And I know
But
where your
we
heart's
don't-
at.
We don't put it in place, so I know that in my home, we talk about these things.
Right.
Right? There's no success outside the home will make up for failure in the home, and I truly believe that. So when my kids come to me and say, "Hey, Dad, my teacher's asking me to write a article about abortion," we have that conversation internally. So that teacher's not influencing my family, but I'm also not mad at that teacher for bringing that up. When a teacher wants to talk about race in the classroom, it doesn't offend me because I get to have that conversation with my child and teach my kids and allow them to form their opinions about it. But I don't want to crush that ability to have those conversations in those classes. So to me, it looks like how does a district enforce this? And how do we allow our teachers to be creative and allow thought?
So if I can address that, one area that Representative Toth does not have highlighted, but it's just above that section he was talking about, page 9, lines 21, 22, and 23. Nothing in this section may be construed as limiting the teaching of or instruction in the TEKS. The law says the students teach what's in the TEKS.
Yeah.
The curriculum we adopt as a board for the district aligns with the TEKS.
Mhm.
If you look at the current history TEKS, the social studies TEKS for U.S. history since 1877, it addresses things like the student understands the impact of the American Civil Rights Movement. The student is expected to trace the historical development of the Civil Rights Movement from the 1800s through the 21st century, including specific amendments. Explain how Jim Crow laws and the Ku Klux Klan created obstacles to civil rights for minorities. The TEKS is what guides the teachers in the classroom. The TEKS address slaveholding presidents and how government policies negatively impacted minorities up through the 21st century. This law does not stop them from teaching the TEKS. Our curriculum aligns with the TEKS. The TEKS are passed by the State Board of Education. Our teachers go into the classroom, they use the approved curriculum, they teach the TEKS, and students get a well-balanced perception of history.
So what are we doing
Yeah,
here?
I think we're overcomplicating.
So what's the
Right,
point?
we are, and I think this goes
So
to your
let's move
point that
on.
you made earlier, which is, this isn't part of your curriculum.
Right.
It's CISD.
Right.
But you can't account for a rogue teacher that, as an example, plays the video Zero, right? Which is a Pixar film that a teacher decided to show. It's your responsibility then to sit down with that teacher and do what's appropriate, whatever you think.
And
If
we
it was a
are.
mistake, if it was a
So
mistake
absent
and they
this-
just had not viewed the video, then that's one thing. If they had viewed the
Right.
video and felt like this is a message that they're trying to inculcate into the child's mind, then I think that's a problem.
So we just acknowledged what TEKS were and what we're to subscribe to and what we do
Correct.
subscribe to. In any organization, there's gonna be somebody rogue doing something. And we have the ability and we have the leeway and we do go out and make sure that if we find that we take care of it, address it. What's the point of this?
For the very simple reason that we want to say that it is not appropriate to teach the tenets of critical race theory. We're not teaching the philosophy. We know that the philosophy of critical race theory is not being taught at any school, high school. But the tenets of critical race theory, which states that there's white privilege, which states that as a white person you're an oppressor, and as a person of color you're oppressed. That is what we do not want taught in our schools.
Fair enough. And when I was raising my voice a while ago, it wasn't to you, Mr. Toth, it was more, we can only talk about things that are on the agenda.
Yes, sir.
This is the first time we've had it on our agenda, so maybe I had a little built-up anger about people accusing me
We hear
I
enough
know,
of
and
it.
I don't blame you, buddy.
of stuff. But it's possible that maybe some of these things that you've addressed are happening in other districts, and it's rampant through other districts. I can tell you that we don't stand for it here. We just don't. And when we do find out about it, because it does happen, when we do find out about it, we handle it, we take care of it, but we're not gonna disclose the things that we do because that's,
Follow the law.
teachers are protected, it's by
Yep.
law, it's protected,
I understand.
so, okay. Any other conversation, thoughts?
Appreciate you.
Appreciate your
Hearing
time.
none. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you all for your time.
I could just make the point that was made. If, we do have that workshop, it's online, it's available to be seen, and I think everyone has stated here clearly, CRT has not been part of our curriculum in Conroe ISD, it never has been, there's never been a conversation to add it. And I believe that everyone on this dais is in agreement with that.
Yes.
So there is no debate here in Conroe ISD. Do we want to introduce CRT into our curriculum? There is no debate on that.
It never has been.
Never has been.
Never has been.
Very good. Thank you for that. Okay, moving on to item 10B, receive information regarding local policy manual update 118 and revision to board policy CDB, DEC, and FM. I believe that's probably
All right,
Gladys.
Mrs. Gladys.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I know you all read the 1,000 pages that were in update 118, and I appreciate that very much. That was presented to you for information. Luckily, the vast majority of that were legal policy changes from the last legislative session. There are 13 policies, some of which are in update 118, some are which are not. One of the ones that we included was DEC, which we talked about at the board workshop, making those adjustments to leave days, and so those are all in there. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I think it was all, they were redlined, the things that were changed and in those explanatory documents. So those will be coming to you in December for adoption.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any questions? All right, moving on to item C. Consider resolution to cast vote in election of 2022-2023 Montgomery County Appraisal District Board of Directors. I know that we've had some discussion in the past as to how we want to give those votes.
I can tell you that
Could you
very
real
few
quickly?
votes have been cast so far, so you guys are gonna be, you are the largest vote caster. And, you're really gonna be basically the first people to cast. If you recall, all the MUDs, when they nominate their candidate, which was Mrs. Hausman, all their votes automatically go to her.
Okay.
And so she's received, I think, 796 votes, just because she's the candidate from the MUDs. The only other jurisdictions who've cast votes are the city of Magnolia and, one other, Panorama. And they each had 5 votes, and the city of Magnolia gave all 5 of their votes to Mr. Dancer. And then the city of Panorama, there's a little confusion because their resolution and their, ballot didn't match, so one vote went to 5 of these 6 people who I'm gonna name once they sort that out. They gave one vote to Mr. Dancer, Mr. Frank, Mr. Hancock, Mr. White, Ms. Hausman, and Mr. Lucy. But someone in there really didn't get a vote, so I'm not sure how that, they filled, there's 2 different, I don't know, but they're gonna sort that out. So really,
We have 1,700.
you have, yes. you
Election
have-
integrity.
Yes.
1,700, but we can only vote for those, our votes can only go to those that we nominated.
It would go to anybody on that ballot, and you can divide them up however you want to. Last time you
we
passed
gotta vote
580 for Mr. Blanton, who's not on the ballot this
Correct.
time. 581 for Mr. Lucy, who is, and 581 for Mr. Todd, who is also on the ballot.
Okay. So,
Someone have a proposal?
I would propose we do the, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was gonna,
I'd like to make a motion to give 569 votes to Arthur Breedenhoff, 567 votes to Bonner Lucy, and 567 votes to Bruce Tuff.
Why not the 580?
are you making a motion or you?
I am making a motion.
You're making, she just made a motion, so.
Oh, I'll second.
Let's second it and then talk
I'll
about it. Okay, go ahead.
And that equals 1,703.
Our numbers went down from last year.
Okay,
Our
gotcha. That answers my question.
That's your question.
I second. No further discussion.
Well, there-
Okay.
there's discussion.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
From him, you're talking about from himself.
Yeah. Would my dear colleague consider substituting one of those names for Mr. Frank as an amendment to your motion?
No.
Well, you can make I can, you can make an emotion to amend.
Well, I was gonna say, that's why I said if she would take a friendly amendment. She might say, well, let's just, I'll strike this one. That'd be saving some time, but it didn't work that way.
But the actual rules are, if you want to make an amendment, you make your amendment. If it gets a second, then we vote on that amendment. So if you'd like to do that,
I would move that Mr. Frank have 569 votes.
no, you would like to amend
Amend her motion.
the motion.
That's what I was saying, if she would accept a friendly amendment to her motion. Yeah, I know she said no.
But you've got other people that could second that. So you have an amendment to add Mr. Franks to that.
Correct.
So, all right, so that is the,
And to remove who, you'll need to be clear
Yeah,
on
who's
that.
Could you name those names again? I was trying to write them down as fast as I could.
Bonner Lucy, Arthur Bendenhoff, and Bruce Tuff, right?
So Arthur Breedenhoff, 569, Bonner Lucy, 567, Bruce Tuff, 567, for a total of 1,703.
okay. Which one would you like to?
Mr. Brugenhoff.
Okay, so that is the motion. Do we have a second? Okay, no second. So it goes back to the original motion. Any more discussion about that? Okay, seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor of the motion show by uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? And any abstentions?
I'm opposed.
Okay, we have one
opposed,
opposition.
one abstention.
One abstention, so the motion passes. Those will be our votes. All right, very good.
Appreciate the expediency.
So we have executive session today. So let me read this. We are not quite done. A closed session of the board will now be held on matters contained in the notice of the meeting as authorized by section 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074 of the Texas Open Meeting Act. Should a board determine that final action, final decision, or final vote be required with regard to any matter considered in such closed or executive meeting or session, then such final action, final decision, or final vote shall be held at either A, a public meeting upon the reconvention of the public meeting, or B, at a subsequent public meeting of the board upon notice thereof, as the board shall determine. A closed session of the board will now be held. The time is 9:45. Okay, the board is now in open session at 10:05. The next agenda item is to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Adjourn, second. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, gents. Good job.